up? Hope you enjoyed that music. Did I not tell you that I was going to get rid of that StreamYard music? I just went into the library of my very, very talented friends and pulled their music out. So you'll be hearing more original music more and more often. How are you? Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I am YouTube's and your favorite devil's advocate, hailing out of the Bronx, New York. I live on the West Coast now, but don't get it twisted. I'm Bronx everywhere I go. That's why I'm repping the Bronx forever tonight, bitch. With that said, let me bring up Lily before I start talking about shit. Okay. Hello, Lily.
Hello.
How are
I didn't really
you?
have time for makeup, so this is like the light, quick beat.
Always gorgeous, always gorgeous. I am getting a little Michael Jackson-y though. As you can see, I haven't been tanning lately.
Yes.
And this is what happens to me when I don't tan. I pass the white paper bag test. I do.
Well, you'll push us through the algorithm. That's the plus of that.
I love you, Lily. I love you. But that is correct. Unfortunately, statistically, lighter people do better numbers on YouTube. Don't hate the messenger, but whatever. Okay? I may be light on the outside, but I'm all nappy on the inside. Don't get it twisted, bitch.
Don't get it
okay? Twisted. Don't get it twisted. Everything goes back to Africa. Okay? So, Lily, how are you? Let me get the bills out the way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support the show, and you guys do that so much, and I appreciate you so much for it. Cash App On the Block with Jen scrolling on the bottom. If you want to help Mama keep the church lights on and you like what we do here, Cash App On the Block with Jen, okay? You know you like it here. This is entertainment, but it costs money, okay? Unfortunately, we cannot do it for free. It costs money, and I appreciate all your support. You guys already know Cash App is if you want to be discreet. A lot of people don't like other people seeing what they sponsor. However, if you want to be a loud and proud sponsor of On the Block with Jen, leave me a note with your Cash App and I will shout your name out. If you don't give a damn about people seeing where your money goes, hit me with the super chat bottom right $sign. We can see your comment better. We will throw it up on the screen, okay? I am On the Block with Jen on all social media platforms and On the Block with Jen at Gmail for business. Lily, let them know where the people can find you and remind them that you are a makeup artist, okay? Because I'm still in awe of that.
I'm an artist of many talents. Makeup artist, model, actor, speaker, all of that fun stuff. And you can find all of my content at YB Limited. It's a question, it's a challenge, and it's a brand, and it's right here on the screen. If I can get the right there, YB Limited. That's how you spell it. So that's Instagram. You're gonna find me the most on Instagram, TikTok, and now here on YouTube.
Okay. And really quickly, guys, if you're here for the first time, where the hell you been? You on the block now. You belong to us. Yeah. Okay. If you're just tuning in and you haven't seen our amazing online talent show, honey, you are missing out. We are the new wave of talent shows. We do Block Talent Battle every single Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have talent from all over the United States. We are pushing to get talent coming from out of the country. But right now we got talent coming from all over the United States to come and compete for $100 cash. It's been a really, really good time. We've gotten drummers, singers, actors, rappers, beatboxers. It's a really, really good talent show every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the block. You can pull up, give us your talent for 2 minutes. The chat will vote. Your friends and family will vote for you. And if you got the most votes, you will win the $100 cash prize. We've already awarded 2 people, so the cash is real, straight to your Cash App. If you win, you get $100 Cash App to your Cash App account just for giving us 2 minutes of your talent. People got to vote for you, okay? So every Saturday, and we're trying to blow that up, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate the feedback. We talk a lot about hate, but we get so much love and so many comments of people that love this show, who participate, and some of them just watch, and we salute you, okay? Because people have the tendency to bring up the haters a lot. No, we like bringing up the people that love us, and that's why we're here. That's who we're here for. We don't give a fuck about y'all, although y'all good for the algorithm. Don't give a fuck about y'all. We care about the people that like being here. Oh, no saint is knocking. Hi, no saint. What's up, Haran? I literally saw him knocking. He was literally knocking.
I love it.
I love our people. I love our people. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Another day.
Listen, oh no, saying it's another day that your heart is beating. You better give me more enthusiasm than that.
Another day at work. It was a hard day at work, but it was all right.
All right. Well, you're here now. We're at the Bronx Bar, honey. Haran, do you not see this representation? What, bitch?
Yeah,
what?
I could have wore Brooklyn top. Why you didn't tell me? I could have been Brooklyn all day.
Okay.
Man, I hear the adrenaline, man. Like, what's up, man?
My protein, not about it. I didn't even go to the gym today. I was so pissed, but I'm going to put in an hour next time. You know, I only go to the gym for half an hour, right? 3 times a week. Just half an hour. Just 30 minutes.
I'm going to try that. I'm on the block with Jen. I'm on the block with Jen.
Do you know how many calls I've gotten about the theme song? And they was
you think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding that? Listen, you think I'm kidding? I'm going to use a snippet of that as my intro.
That's
I promise
good.
you.
It's good stuff. I like it.
I promise you. As soon as he get froggy, talking about, I made that. Delete. Don't play with me. Don't play with me because I ain't ask you to do it, bruh. Okay, it's on you. You want the exposure or not? Good to see your faces. I'm always really happy when I see your faces. This has become a freaking highlight of my day, and that's why I love it. And like I said earlier, I'm getting a lot of good feedback, guys. I'm gonna start posting them in the community sections. People really show us love and they appreciate the show and they say they learn things. That's the most important thing. The way we dissect things, the way we disagree vehemently, but we respect each other because that's what the grown and sexy folk do. Okay, we look forward to the pushback. If you are watching and you're in the chat or lurking, you want to come up, right, and hang out on the stoop with us this night or any night, just hit the link, okay? Cam up. We only do faces here. I know y'all like running around YouTube and saying your piece, hiding behind your avatars, but this is the block, so you got to say it with your face, okay? All right, gentlemen. Do you remember the show yesterday? It has grown some big hairy legs. Remember yesterday I said it only grew little legs. It has grown some big hairy legs. And I had the response from Eboni K. Williams to the backlash. That started the backlash. She's coming out swinging. I love her even more today. She's not having it. And I have the video for you all. And we will dissect the backlash and also her pushback. She's like, fuck y'all. And I love people who say it with their chest, and that's what it is. That's what it is. Guys, before we get into it, just to briefly go over some of the things that I found interesting, okay? Did you guys hear about the man? Where is he? Let me find him because this is important. Please tell me I screenshot it. Damn it. The guy, okay, here we go. Just briefly, because you know this becomes a topic on its own, but the godfather of AI leaves Google and warns of danger ahead. Jeffrey Hinton, have you guys heard?
This is cycling back again because Haran, is this the guy who was saying that he believes that it's sentient? They got fired?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I understand where this topic.
This guy didn't get fired. He quit.
No, this guy quit. But the whole point of the matter is that I hear everyone's going with it, and it's just he's full of shit. I mean, Oppenheimer pretty much said the same thing once he made a nuclear weapon. It's just like, what did you think was going to happen?
Wait a minute now, Haran. Wait a minute. The pushback is starting early on the block. Wait a minute now. We've all partaken in some shit that may or may not have been illegal or bad for other people. And after we come up off of it, we regret it. We're like, damn. So he made a nuclear weapon. I can understand a man looking back on that and saying, fuck.
Yeah. Oppenheimer and all the scientists didn't know how successful until they saw the test, and it terrified them. And they actually went to Truman and tried to say, hey, please don't use this. And Truman basically said, well, what did you expect we were going to do? And there are people out there, and I kind of agree that Japan was going to lose that war whether we nuked them or not. And we were going to lose millions of people if we invaded. It was at first thousands, then it went to 50,000, and then it went to millions. So I think that was a farce too. They just wanted to test. They just wanted to show the Soviets and other people that we had a bomb.
I have a
but at the same time, I don't think they knew as much about it before they dropped it, as far as like the radiation and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the scientists definitely were warning, like, please do not use this. This is, you know.
I have a quick question. I just have a quick question. Name me one time in human history that a huge either technological or scientific breakthrough led to something beneficial for mankind overall when it was not used for a weapon.
Right. But that was
what we do. We break through. We create something.
Yeah. And GPS was for weapons.
Right. Oh, even Viagra was for something else.
What was Viagra for?
It was
blood pressure.
Yeah, it was for blood pressure. It was blood pressure medication. And somebody tried it and realized that dick got hard. And say, hey, we can make some money off of this.
Yeah, Jed.
Interesting.
GPS is all run out of in Colorado at an Air Force base. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's totally controlled, and it's used for precise weaponry and stuff like that. So that's why.
But every technological advance that we have has been used by the military years and decades before we get to it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. But and so that was the point that I was making on the AI show. Which it was like, I don't trust humans based off of historically what we do with things. We turn every tool into a weapon.
And let me reiterate, yes, Lily, on the AI show, because we talk here about a lot of things, more than race, more than gender. I know you people selectively listen, but we cover everything here, and it was an amazing artificial intelligence show. So fuck off. Lily, you were saying?
Very good show, and I loved everybody's points because people had different points of views, and we didn't agree on a lot of things, but I learned a lot of things, and there was things to think about and chew over. And but that was my point. It was like us. It's like, it's not the computers, but it is, because the computers are programmed by us, who are very fallible. We're greedy. And it's mostly white males who are in that industry. That's why when people come up to me and say, "Oh, I want to be a model, I want to be an actor," no, take your ass to tech, please. We need more of you there, like, because you are the future, and that's what's going on. Am I wrong, Haran?
So absolutely correct. I mean, look, Jen, look at this. Look what this was. This was supposed to be the information superhighway. That's it. Mm-hmm. Wasn't supposed to be the place where you catfish each other, where you watch fucking facts, and when we were doing all this dumb shit that you're doing now. No, you're supposed to come here. You're supposed to get information that probably could better your lives, information that probably we could actually find, that we could actually use for the betterment of humanity on a whole. But no, we got Snapchat filters. We got everybody and everybody's dirty.
Hey, leave my filters alone now. They be making me look like I'm 16. Leave me in my filters.
We got everybody's dirty fucking laundry. We got all the stuff that human beings do when something that's beautiful is placed in their hands.
So let me piggyback off of something Lily said and what you just said. And this may sound unrelated, but it kind of is. You may be like, where the fuck is she going? But I just had an epiphany. You know how I feel about the Bible. I feel like the Bible is a collection of stories where men were just like, this is what's going on in our environment. This is how we view human beings. No different than all four of us got together and wrote a book of what we see human beings doing. Then 500 years from now, people are like, it's worship. It was a prophecy. Look, they said back then what we're doing now. The prophecy is coming true. And my theory has always been, humans have always been fuck-ups. They have always been fuck-ups. And the Bible is a collection of stories of people recording fuckery. Right? So when I look at Adam and Eve, right, you notice that Haran said everything beautiful that we have, humans will find a way to fucking corrupt it. We will find a way, because it's like, this will make more money if we add more fuel, if we add more gunpowder to it, we can make more money. Get a bigger gun, right? So that's how I see the story of Adam and Eve. They had this beautiful garden. The world is your oyster. You got the fruit, you got this, the bitch is naked, she'll suck your dick when you want. And what do? They fuck up the garden together. Now, I know the manosphere will have you think it was all the bitch's fault. She wanted to give him the apple, right? But he was there with his mouth open, right? But it just goes to show, no matter what the decade, the century, the era, dinosaurs, were they here, were they not, humans have a knack for fucking shit up. Yeah. Even when it's good, we fuck up our ocean, we fuck up our forest. Who needs a forest when we can have a condominium? Who needs a forest? An ocean? What the fuck we need an ocean for? Let's dump the garbage in there. Ocean looks like a perfect place to dump garbage. I don't know about you, but it's making us money. So humans have always been on some fuckery. And wait, I'll wrap with this. Going back to what you said, Haran, I've worked a lot of tech expos, a lot out here in Vegas. You know, this is the mecca of conventions and expos. I did a video on this years back before the pandemic. I said, listen, I do these expos a lot. There are no black and brown faces in here. Very, very rare. I say out of 50,000 people that run through one expo before pre-pandemic, you would have like 50,000 people over the span of 3 days at an expo, okay? Very rarely did I see a black or brown person. And I made a video about it. I said, where are we? We need to be here. This was pre-pandemic. I was like, we need to be here. Take the basketball out of your kid's hand. Take the football out of your kid's hand, okay? Because the chances that I'm making it are yay big. And then the chances that I'm making it and doing well are yay big. Get these kids at these expos. I said this many, many years ago. So I agree with Lily and I agree with Haran. Where the fuck are we? Before we continue, I want to read what the godfather of AI said, okay? Since we listen a lot to the godfather of average at best, we can listen to this guy, right? Sure. Let's switch it up today. So the godfather of AI leaves Google and warns of danger ahead. Jeffrey Hinton, who has been called the godfather of AI, confirmed Monday that he left his role at Google last week to speak about the dangers of the technology he helped to develop. Hinton's pioneering work on neural networks shaped artificial intelligence systems powering many of today's products. He worked part-time at Google for a decade on the tech giant's AI development efforts, but he has since come to have concerns about the technology and his role in advancing it. I console myself with the normal excuse. If I hadn't done it, somebody else would have. Hinton told the New York Times, which was first to report his decision. In a tweet Monday, Hinton said he left Google so he could speak freely about the risks of AI rather than because of a desire to criticize Google. Specifically, I felt so that I could talk about the dangers of AI, considering how this impacts Google. Hinton said in a tweet, Google has acted very responsibly. Jeff Dean, chief scientist at Google, said Hinton has made foundational breakthroughs in AI and expressed appreciation for Hinton's decades of contributions at Google. I said, watch what's the documentary on Netflix? I'm always recommending. I'm always recommending it. Come on, class. We had this lesson. It's on Netflix.
The social media.
There you go. The Social Dilemma. There's a documentary, right? There's a documentary on Netflix, The Social Dilemma, and it's a lot of executives from Google and Yahoo and Facebook. They've been saying this, so it's not a surprise that after they line their pockets, they're like, "Oh shit, my kids are addicted to." You know, when it hits home, it's different. People want to blow whistles and etc. It's etc. By the way, people, etc. gets on my nerves. I'm sorry. There's no. It's not ex. It's et, etc. class. We learned it today. Okay. So when you watch The Social Dilemma, these people have been saying it. They've been saying it. And they were the top executives at Google and Yahoo and Facebook. Nobody's listening. So now the Godfather is talking, but you know, who's listening? I will pass the mic.
Nobody listens. Humans have no foresight. I finally understood, like literally, I got that epiphany last week, right? On this show. I finally accepted that. Because we have such a long history of being warned about a billion things. We don't listen and we run right off the cliff, right? I've also accepted that AI is this is going to full speed now. The pedal is going down. It's not going to be stopped. Life as we knew it is going to change drastically, especially jobs, which is already changing. Because we look at Hollywood right now, they're on strike. And a lot of that is tied to AI. We look right now, with the music artists, the music industry is going crazy because now they're creating songs with people's voices and likeness that they never even sat down to record. And the songs are making it on the charts.
Yep.
So it's about to disrupt life as we know it. So you can't swim against the grain. I always say it. You can't swim against the grain.
You know, Millie or Vanilli, whichever one is turning over in his grave right now. He was like, motherfuckers.
Born 20 years later.
Right.
Look, listen, it's all shits and giggles till you get catfished by a bot.
Right.
Falling in love with bots and
you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I told you we already argue with
really
bots every
isn't
day.
a John. You know what I mean? Look, listen, if any major corporation is telling you that they're behaving responsibly, we're fucked. So that's the first indication that we're on a highway to fucking hell. Oh no, we're doing the right thing. Okay, we're fucked. We're you know,
it's over. It's over.
Pretty much.
Grab your toilet tissue, no saint. Grab your toilet tissue. It's over.
Look, I'll tell you this, as a technologist, in the beginning, we all had high hopes of the internet. We saw the possibilities. We saw all those things, but we also knew that they weren't going to let us do all these wonderful things that we could have done with the internet, and we could have done with just the concept of even social media, period. We were tasked to pry everyone's data out of their hands and use it against them. We were essentially tasked to create these applications for you to fall in love with, and these spaces for you to fall in love with and to become addicted. We were told to create a drug, essentially, for you to basically become addicted to, so that as long as you sit down long enough in front of a computer, they can get their advertisers to send all their messages and all their stuff at you. So eventually you'll fucking buy into it. We were literally trained and hired hitmen. That's what we were. We were some form of economic hitmen. And yes, I cashed my goddamn check with a smile every fucking 2 weeks. You know what I mean? As a young black man from the hood, I didn't see that much fucking money in my fucking life when I first came to, fucking technology. I didn't fucking know. I'm from the dirt, and no place outside of entertainment could I have made so much money. So goddamn right, I kept on that train. But after a while, I started seeing everything, and I said, nah, I didn't even think we thought it was going to be this bad. This is bad. This is like...
So, Haran, do you have any regrets? Excuse how I'm sitting. I'm feeling my masculine frame tonight.
Yeah. I see the Brooklyn, the Bronx, like...
I like it.
Thank you, No Saint. I appreciate that. Thank you, No Saint.
It's sexy. It's definitely sexy.
Okay.
New York.
So do you, sir, because you questioned the godfather of AI's regret, do you have any regrets for how you partook?
Pumping crack in the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. And our little babies' hands, our little infants who we let hold our iPads.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that crack dealer, that drug kingpin in the third act.
That made the money. Now
he done made the money. He done killed everybody. You know what I mean? He's like, looking back now, I realize I don't want to be that guy.
Haran, but you help other people when you're that guy. Well, we all do.
I will say this. My only regret is that I didn't push for more of us to be involved in the industry further.
That's a good one.
That's
fair enough.
Regret that I didn't get more of us on the ball and more of us in the game earlier, and really get up and go to these schools and create more programs, and be like, yo, we got to get our people into this shit. That's the only regret that I have.
But you ain't dead, honey. Look like your heart beating from over here.
I never said I wouldn't do that now.
Okay.
I'm not doing that now. But I'm just saying the time in which it's still it's an uphill battle now. it wouldn't have been such an uphill battle 10, 15 years ago. So I'll say that.
Right. Okay. Correct. You just said that basically you were hired to do this thing, just like the Social Dilemma and all these people hired to keep people on so they could see advertisements. It's very reminiscent to me of iRobot. Remember where he was walking through the street, and we're turning into that now. And everywhere he looked, there was an ad on everything. Like, it was funny when we watched it in the movie, but literally everywhere, on the ceiling, on the wall, in the sky, on the buildings, on the floor, on the sidewalk, everything he touched had an ad. And that's basically what Facebook and Instagram is. Everywhere, even on YouTube. Remember, before ads on YouTube, now you have to pay. I have to pay monthly. Now you have to pay to not see ads. Used to be the other way around. Now it's like, now you have, if you don't want to see ads, you got to pay us.
Oh, don't try to read a news story. Don't try to read a news story.
Oh my! I get so turned off. I get so. I'm like, oh well.
Right.
I back out. I can't do it.
Yeah, like every 3 sentences. Have you tried? I don't know. I haven't tried it. I don't want
it. You know, I got a girlfriend that works for a big farm, and she does the lobby and she helps to get the stuff passed or whatever. We were talking about, the you know what. And she was like, oh no, I don't take that shit. She was like, I just make sure y'all take it, but I don't take that shit. And she was like, I'm not putting nothing in my body.
Pass.
But you gotta understand one thing though, in terms of this goes way back to just the concept of commerce and capitalism. Everywhere you went in life, as long as there was a congregation of people, somebody was selling some shit. There was an ad somewhere, or trying to sell somebody some products, or greasing some palms to tell everybody, how to basically adhere to a particular concept so they can milk you, pastors. So it is what it is. It is what it is. This great thing that the internet could have been was just seen as another opportunity to sell you some shit, because you were going to be in it. You were going to be in front of it. They predicted that people were going to stop watching television. And if they were going to stop watching television, well, then guess what? Everything that we do on TV, we want to make sure that we do that shit on the internet, man.
Doesn't it remind you of that part in the movie, the climax, where the actor just looks up at you and says, we could have fucking really been something?
Yeah.
Doesn't it remind you of that?
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
It reminds you of, like, we could have really fucking been something.
Yeah.
And then he walks out because everything is fucking ruined.
Right.
And there's no turning back. That's what we are, basically.
There's no turning back at this point.
I could have been a contender.
Right.
No turning back.
Right. No saying. Yes, that part. Coño. It's so fucking sad. We could have been so great, but y'all are some greedy bitches.
And the thing is this. We have to really, we put this out on this show a lot, but this is something that we can't forget, is that this country is a corporation, and the bottom line of a corporation is to produce. There's no conscience in it. There's never a conscience in
No, Lily, it's land of the free and home of the brave.
Oh, okay. Oh, the other part of that too.
Or the ramparts we watched and shit.
Oh yeah, I'm just glad you still remember that.
I'm actually a bit impressed. Most people don't remember that part. They all mumble some shit. I'm actually rather impressed.
Right, I forget nothing.
I'm like, how do you still know that? But I was thinking that it's not just an opportunity to sell stuff, but it's two things that you're going to notice that everything comes back to. It is always going to be economics and power. Power and economics. Everything is going to boil down. So it's also the controllers as well. Because this thing literally is shaping society. It moves and sways elections and people's emotions and their fears and their, it's like it sways society. It's a social engineer.
Yeah.
At like an epic proportion.
I think that, I think that's kind of in what Haran was saying with, how beautiful the idea was of the information superhighway. Even back in like 91, 92, I remember seeing a little cartoon of the superhighway and it had like science, and it had like it was an interstate or whatever. It had science, like about 4 or 5 cars, and it had porn, and it was a jam. It was a traffic jam of people going to porn. But I think that you're right. I don't believe that anybody. Maybe there were people out there saying this was going to happen, but anybody. What I'm saying is, at one time, like you said, with TV, you know, especially before cable, even before the cable 24-hour news cycles, but like you got your information and you got whatever information they were going to put out, but they can control it, right? And then 24-hour news. But now it's like with the internet, you've got information and misinformation and disinformation, whether it's coming from a country or people in your own country that, you know, that believe a lot of garbage. And it's just it's a sensory overload. And like you said, TV with commercials, now everybody's trying to they're streaming stuff, and you can get it where you can fast. I mean, I don't watch commercials when I'm watching TV. I fast forward, you know, or I'll put it on mute. I'm not so they're
oh, you do that too. I mute it for because I don't like being bombarded with diseases and sicknesses I don't have.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mute it, and I teach all like my friends and my family, mute that shit, because these are recorders. These are recorders, and it's putting files in your brain, and your brain after a while is going to be like, I'll pull this file. I keep hearing it, and it doesn't exist. So mute your TVs. If you watch regular TV, mute when the commercials come on. Do something else and unmute. That's what I do. I try to catch up on shit that I got to do online in between, right? And if I have to promo or whatever, do not listen to those commercials. I beg of you. They're telling you you're wrinkled, you're dying, your dick is soft, you're short, you're skinny, you're fat. Mute them commercials. My advice.
And what's funny is you see where like there's certain programs that if you are watching it not live, where they don't allow you to fast forward through the commercials.
Yep.
So they're trying to find, you know, the days where they used to be able to put cigarettes on billboards and things like that. They can't do that anymore. You know, you can't. But they're trying to figure out ways to advertise, and they figured it out.
But no, Saint, here's the thing. They're going to get your money no matter what, because if you do want to fast forward, like on Hulu, you just got to pay more for the membership.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just gotta pay more. So they're gonna get they will find a way to bleed you. They're like, there's a leech in you. We just gotta figure out what leech we gotta use on you. But there's a leech.
Well, like that free TV, that free V that I was telling you about with that just jury duty or whatever I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's free, but there's commercials. Oh, like it used to be. You know, like it used to be.
I'm so not used to commercials anymore.
TV,
I know. I loathe commercials.
But I mean, like that's kind of like the. I mean, who pays all those? The billions of dollars to the NFL? People that are advertising. That's one of the last hurrahs as far as live TV. Nobody's really watching TV for anything but sports, pretty much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jenna and I just had this conversation. Like,
yep.
And younger people definitely not watching nobody's television.
No.
Speaking of younger people, let's segue for 2 seconds because I want to get into the topic tonight. The topic is hella juicy. But did you see how ghetto the Met Gala was? Was it just me? Was it just me? Or did you see how ghetto, like my daughter says, the ghetto? Yeah, there was a huge roach that made it to the Met Gala carpet that there was articles written about. There was literally articles written about the roach, the Met Gala roach. And I thought it was very symbolic. And I'm going to sound real Candace Owens right now. And I'm going to sound real colonizer. But the Met Gala was ghetto as fuck, okay? Mm-hmm. And what happened this Met Gala, they let a lot of the ghetto on that carpet like they're doing with everything else that had prestige and honor, and you know what I mean? It's like they're letting the ghetto into everything now, to the point where I don't even want to go. And I was born and raised in the ghetto on the 4 train, and I don't even want to be at these places. I don't like those environments. I don't like those kind of people. I don't care if they're Black, Latin, Puerto Rican, yellow, blue, green. I don't like being around that element of people. And yes, you could clip this. I said it. I'll double down though. So it'll be a waste if you try to cancel. I will double down. I will always feel this way. I've always felt this way. My father felt this way. Gave it to me. I feel this way. Okay. My father owned buildings in New York City. There were certain people that he did not rent to. because he didn't want to come out in the hallway and see piss in the elevator or graffiti on the wall. That's just life. Some of you are a fucking virus, and you raise your children to be a fucking virus, like Agent Smith said. But I'm sorry, the Met Gala was ghetto. You got fucking Ice Spice there. The bitch can't take a picture without bending over. I don't care what carpet she's on. She has to bend over and show us her ass. How is that your brand, ma'am? Have you not heard of Venus Hottentot? What is wrong with these people?
Ironically, she's in that very European dress, trying to do some un-European shit and looking stiff. And she was like, "No, baby, that wasn't what the dress was made for, baby."
She reminds me of the movies with the mammies.
You're supposed to stand regally, baby. You supposed to.
But
can we get just a little? Just a little bit.
They just pulled her off the 5 train last week. And what do we expect, right?
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Look, listen, I'm all for what Jen is saying. My mom was the same way. She didn't particularly like the guys that I hung out with back in the days. You know what I'm saying? Those are my boys, you know what I mean? And shit like that. I still got a couple of them I run with now. We ain't on the stoop no more though. They got houses and they succeeded somewhat in life. But I will say this now. I make entirely too much money to be seen with the filth.
Right. And what's funny is
to be seen with the help. I make entirely too much.
No, dead ass.
I'll help from the stands, but no, sir, I can't go down there in the muck with you. I'm too important now in life. I have people who are depending on me. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it is.
People will notice that I'm gone. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying. I wasn't there this year. I was there the last few years. And I was laughing last night because I didn't even know that it was last night. I knew it was coming up.
Yeah.
But my people that I go with, because I'm a +1, I ain't invited. The people I go with, they was like, "No, we're not going to that trash. Like, we got other things we need to do because that's not given. Like, I don't want to be mixed up." And I feel like Anna Wintour and the Met Gala and stuff like that, I feel like, to me, they're caught in between the rock and the hard place, right? Because
it's funny to watch them squirm.
They're squirming. You see it, right? They're squirming because they know, they were like, okay, if we don't do this like this, then we're going to be looked at as outdated. So,
sorry, I'm so sorry.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much my point. So that's what I'm seeing.
Kari thinks we're being too hard. He said, you got to give her grace for being young and dumb. You know why I'm so hard, why I'm so rigid? Because even at a young age, and I owe it to my daddy, but even at a young age, he had me, even though we were, doing it in the Bronx, the worst of the worst, my father had this regal shit about him. Okay. He was very, you know how our daddies are. He was always like, he didn't even like people that smoked weed. He used to call them tecatos. Okay. We could not be, and I'm referencing Puerto Rican people before. So take your dicks out your asses. I'm referencing Puerto Rican people. My father would be like, I don't want any of you, to his kids. I don't want to see y'all with tecatos, right? Basically, Latin people that do drugs and shit like that. Even if that's how strict my father was, even weed, even if they were a relative. Even if they were a relative, my father was strict. So even in my teen years, when people are like, oh, she young and dumb. At 15, 16, I was stopping bitches from calling me bitch as a term of endearment. At 15, 16 years old, I would stop. I would be like, what did I tell you my name was when we met? Oh, your name is Jan. What? Then call me that. And this was at 15, 16 years old. But Kari, I understand. We can give her grace because I doubt she had a father like mine. Or she wouldn't be bent over on every fucking carpet.
There's no media training right now either. There's no A&R.
I have a question. I mean,
go ahead.
Okay, let's give her grace for being young and dumb. Okay.
Sure. That's fair. Sure.
At what age are these people expected to show a hint of maturity, because the manner in which she's behaving, I'm seeing that exhibited in women in their 40s.
I was just about to say.
Their 50s.
Men
too. I mean, the entire goddamn culture is basically being strangled with arrested development. So I dare to say, at what point are the expectations, assuming that there are expectations, at what point, Kyrie, is that? For you know, if you want to answer from the chat, feel free. You want to come up and answer. But I'm curious as to at what point is said person expected to behave in the manner and exude the candor of an adult, or what we call adult behavior.
So Ice Spice, for the record, is 23 years old. Cardi B, who acts exactly the same, is 30 years old. And let me ask a tough question. Un momento, por favor.
How old is Nikki? Because Nikki's
older. By the way, I was talking with one of my boys today, one of my other successful boys, and he said something that was just shit. That shit hit me like a ton of bricks. And we were talking about the culture and how the South very much, we believe that the South very much had a very negative influence on Black culture and hip hop culture. And he said something to me that made me stop in my tracks. Now, y'all know me. It's very hard to leave me speechless and have me stop in my tracks.
So it's race time. Although, Haran completely ignored the race bell. I will let him continue. For those of you, for your first time on the Block with Jen, that race bell means that we're going into a race conversation. But continue, Haran.
He said, what do you expect from a culture of people on the side of the nation who are slave adjacent? Who essentially still have slave culture embedded in their culture. They're still behaving, with the mentality of slaves.
Wait a minute. Oh, I got pushed back. Let me fix my chair because I keep sliding.
No Saint was like, yeah, I think this is this is the part where I kind of just watch from the stands. I kind of like watch from the stands, like, I think I'm gonna go get a beer. I think I'm gonna go get a Bud Light.
Right.
By the way, it's getting real spicy up here. I'm dropping the link again. If you guys want to come up, rebut, contradict, contort,
it's gonna be one of those nights, man. It's gonna be one of those nights because I got something to talk about that little video. You know what I mean, Miss whoever dropped, and you know what I mean.
You guys want to come up and contort and implode and say we only talk about ghetto and we got you guys want to come up and go through it? Come on up, baby. Tonight is the night, because it may not be tomorrow, but tonight is the night. So let me say this. Sure. Do we have to come to terms with, right, that Black and brown culture? Growing up where I grew up, all right, because I got relatives that are like, oh, bitch, you too ghetto for me. No, I cannot take you to this event. I could take you to that one. You cannot come to this one, right? And if I do take you to this one, there's going to be a lot of A&R, media coaching. We're going to walk into this event. It is a gala. You do not put the snacks in your bag, Mary.
Leave the aluminum foil at home.
Right, okay? The centerpieces, we don't take them home from a gala, okay?
The salt and pepper shaker, you already got one from Fridays.
Right. The pens that are there for to sign you don't grab the pens and put them in your purse. Okay? So we're talking about us collectively. Okay? We're talking about us. Do we have to accept, instead of saying, give her some grace, she's only such and such, do we have to accept that there's a certain demographic of us that will always be motherfucking ghetto? Nikki's even older than Cardi. Cardi is 40. Older than Ice Spice. And they all act like ghetto trash. Can we just accept? It's kind of like the blonde bimbo image. Like, some bitches will always be the blonde bimbo. Marilyn was the blonde bimbo until somebody stuck her in the ass with she died mysteriously.
A lot of people did back then.
Right. A lot of
mysteriously died, right? Everyone who was having an affair with a politician mysteriously died. So do we just have to accept that there's when we look at videos when we go to YouTube and we look at videos of Miami spring break, or we look at things like Freaknik, or we look at things where it's just motherfuckers are gonna act the monkey ass fool no matter where they go, no matter what age they are. That's just that demographic. I grew up in the Bronx. We had Charlie Rock all the way up to his 60s being a knucklehead on the stoop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So do we just have to accept that is? And also, I'll end with this question. If that is true, why the fuck do you keep being offended by it and getting mad that people look at you like fucking ghetto trash? I don't see white people saying, if we talk about white trash or meth heads, I've never seen a white person say, don't talk about white people like that. Don't lump us all together. See, that's what's wrong. Because white people are really good at separating themselves from their trash.
Yes.
They're very good at separating themselves from their trash demographic. Where in our community, we're asked to give grace, right? No, that crackhead is somebody's mother because slavery. But with that said, we got two people backstage. Let's bring them up to bring the smoke.
Come on up.
You're absolutely correct in that tone in saying that. But there's also the half of it. There's the component of accepting the fact that they're there and they'll always be there. And then there's the component of allowing it to become the face of the entire fucking brand. That's what I have the issue with. I have an issue with it to being the face of the entire brand, because it's not what I rock with.
That's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not chitlins and fried beans in the fucking morning and fucking, you know what I mean, against the concept of education and anti-intellectualism. That's not how I rock. You know what I mean? Okay. And yes, white people are very, very, very clear as to separating themselves from the meth head trash, trailer park trash, and, you know what I mean, the Kennedys. However, black people, we have allowed this element to represent our blackness as a whole. We've allowed ourselves to become very monolithic. And I think there's a shame.
Yes.
In this community where, you know what I mean, anyone who is deemed successful, black and intelligent, anything that is outside of that perception, it is deemed as anti-black. And there's a shame that I see a lot of middle class black children, you know what I mean, display when it comes to, you know what I mean, actually presenting their blackness in the world. Like, from what I understand, Meg Thee Stallion is from the middle class world. And you know what I mean, she has a college degree. She's just a college educated young lady behaving like a stripper. Was she ever really a stripper? I'm not too sure. But
she wasn't a stripper.
So that's my whole point. You know, that's my whole point. Where degeneracy, we have allowed degeneracy to be the face of the community. And if you're going to allow degeneracy to be the face of the community, then it is on you to answer
Watch
to
your
that.
Phones.
You know what I mean? It is on you to answer to that.
Watch your phones, please.
When it comes to being questioned by people who are outside of the race, and you can't be mad at them for assuming that, yeah, that's really who you are because you're cool with it. You're not pushing back on it, so this must really be who you are.
So I saw, before I pass the mic to Kari, because Kari got some smoke for us and we here for it. Yes. I did find I'm going to say something controversial, or maybe it's not controversial. You know, I don't give a fuck. And you can clip this because I'll double down. I found it very interesting when there was a divide between Black women and Latin women, right? And Cardi B is Dominicana. She speaks Spanish very well. She's fluent. She's Dominican. I noticed, though, that Cardi B, who represents, like Haran was saying, the most ratchet of the Latin women in the Bronx, I noticed she was fully embraced by Black women. She was like, Cardi B has more Black female fans than Latin fans, right? Me and my peoples don't really fuck with her. We don't like her. But then I also don't really fuck with Jennifer Lopez, but that's another story. But I noticed that as ratchet as she is, she was embraced, right? That's when she was embraced. And I found that very interesting, where other Latin women are kind of shunned, right? But one that acts the way Cardi B acts was very much embraced by Black women. And I found it interesting that this wasn't ghetto women. This was women who were summa cum laude, and they were in their sororities, and there was on it. And I'm like, it's interesting. Would you let an unfamous Cardi B sit with y'all at your sorority sister luncheon? That was my question many a time on Facebook. Would you let a non-famous, because everybody turns into a groupie when a bitch got money, but would you, sorority sister who's big in that money moves, would you be okay with your son bringing a non-famous Cardi B home as his girlfriend? And would you let Cardi B sit at your table, or would you and your sorority sisters be looking at her like, who let that ghetto bitch in here? Why is she so loud? And I'll rest my question there.
What did they say?
Of course they would not answer.
No.
It ain't none of my business because I'm Latin. But I'm like, Cardi B is Latina.
Yep.
Cardi, I know you have some heat for us. What you got?
How's it going?
What's going on, Clark?
We good.
I know Haram asked earlier what would be the appropriate age for maturity. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know what that age would be. I think everybody moves at a different pace. So trying to set a age that you should be mature at this age is unrealistic, in my opinion, because everybody moves and grows at a different pace. But why do we have to say that her twerking is immature? Just because she's like having fun, showing out and sticking her ass out in public when she is an entertainer, she is entertaining people. Why is that an immature thing to do? I feel I'm a very mature individual. I feel like I'm responsible. I take care of all my shit. I know how to conduct myself in public. I know how to conduct myself in the proper settings. But I also put my middle finger up in pictures sometimes still, when I'm just out having fun, letting loose. And I just like, fuck it. I stick my finger up in middle pictures. Though people will say, hey, that's super immature. They'll say that and think I'm totally 100% immature just because of that one photo, so.
Can I ask you a question?
I have a question too.
I'm going to ask you a question.
I actually have an answer. Okay.
Those pictures where you're throwing up your middle finger, brother. Mm-hmm. Do you have a dating profile?
No, I don't. I used to have a dating profile.
Did any of those photos consist of you throwing your middle finger up?
No, but if they was looked on my Instagram, they would.
Now, would you lead with that photo of you throwing up your middle finger if you were looking for a particular suitor from a woman your age in your age bracket? Would you lead with that middle finger photo?
Depends on how good my smile was in that picture, honestly.
So you'd actually consider if you
I would consider the whole picture.
You would consider the whole picture. So a woman, like, let's say in her 30s, accomplished, college educated, she's a professional, and she asks to see a photo of you. You would send a photo of yourself with your middle finger up to this woman?
No, that wouldn't be the first picture I send, but that also wouldn't be something.
Why wouldn't it be the first picture? Why would it be the first picture that you send?
Because I don't act like that all the time. The majority of the time.
Now, but first impression. So what would the first impression be if she saw you with your middle finger up? She's never actually sat down and had a conversation with you. She's never actually, per se, really dug deep into you. She's never visited your IG page afterwards, after you had all these great conversations, and she happened to see you with your middle finger up. She's never done that yet. She's meeting you firsthand, and you got your fucking middle finger up. And she's a woman in her 30s. She probably got kids, and you want to be one of her suitors. What would the first impression be? Let's be real here.
But she probably think I'm a hood ass nigga.
Then would you want that?
Not necessarily.
And
Okay.
see, this is the thing. That's, you never know when you release something to the public, to social media. This is what I've been saying since I've been on social media. Anything I put out could be the first handshake to a potential person that I want to work with, or maybe even want to be with. Like that, it could have been a picture I put out in 2013. That may be the first thing that they see of me in life, right? And that's what they're going. That's going to be the handshake. That's going to be the first impression, right? But my question for anyone who has an issue or problem seeing the maturity thing, would it be okay if any of those people, would it be okay still if it was their mother or their grandmother twerking and bent over or something like that? It wouldn't be okay then. You'd be like, Mom, you're too old for this.
I wouldn't. My mama with her ass bent over.
If my mom was twerking, I would be really surprised, but I wouldn't be like, Mom. I wouldn't be like, Mom, how dare you? I'd be like, yo, that's some funny shit. I've never seen that. I don't know why you did that, but I would laugh. I would laugh.
Okay.
I'm a little different.
Okay,
like, so,
and that's fine. And that's fine.
And I say that because if somebody judged me based off of that picture and said, you know what, I don't want to meet this person because of that one single picture, that's not necessarily the person I want to meet in any aspect of life, professional or personal. And that's just me personally, you know.
Okay, I was
just gonna say I say that because I took the non I didn't take the regular route through life, you know, like I didn't go to college and all of this shit, but I'm still in the professional world, working with $1 million contracts with companies and shit, having shit being my responsibility, you know. That I work.
But I think that
all of these things. So
I think there's a tinge of hypocrisy in what you're saying, because you want there to be a code of conduct for certain things in your life. Like restaurants are supposed to have a code of conduct, you know what I'm saying? The law is supposed to have a code of conduct, and they don't have the luxury of saying, well, this is how I am, and I ain't come up right, so I ain't got to wash these dishes when I bring it out to you at a restaurant. I don't care if I'm a waitress. I don't got to be nice to you. You're going to be like, bitch. Right? So there, you do have a standard. You just feel like yours should be excused because of your background. That's what I'm saying.
No, I think there's a time and place for everything. You know,
right.
There's a time to be silly and stick up my middle finger, and for people to twerk and stuff like that. You know, there's a time for that. A lot of time, and in this day and age, the time for that is pretty much when the cameras come out, regardless of where you are. You know, so a lot of those places aren't always acceptable. Like, you don't necessarily.
So when is it the time? So when is it the time for that? When isn't the time for that?
In Ice Spice case, it was the time for it when she was out there and the cameras was out.
No, I'm saying it isn't. It's not.
That's
the
her
time.
brand.
What is not? When is not the time?
Because those lines are being blurred more every day now.
because here's the thing. Here's the thing. When we discuss the concept of etiquette and rules and expectations, it must lie in there being a time for certain things and a time not for certain things. When there's a time for you to behave in an aggressive manner, there's a time for you to to handle things in a diplomatic manner, and we gauge that based on the situation that we're in. So I ask you, when is it not the time to behave like that? And is there a time for them not to behave like that? Because here's what I'm thinking. Here's what it looks like to me, what you're saying, and feel free to correct me if I'm saying this, and I'm seeing this with a lot of people. It seems like it seems like it's all about taking every single opportunity that you can find to show the darker version of yourself to some degree, or the debased version of yourself, because you want to show people, well, that's who I am. And if you got to constantly do that with every single moment, that speaks to a huge insecurity that you need to deal with. Because I don't need to prove everything to everyone every time a camera comes on. Am I being clear about that? Or,
I agree. And like Lily said earlier, it kind of blurs the lines. Because there's a time and place for a lot of things. Like a place where you wouldn't do is like at a wedding while people walking down the damn runway and shit like that, you know?
Okay.
Have you seen the church videos recently?
I mean, church videos kind of wild, B.
They wild, man.
They kind of wild. They kind of wild.
So I want to, can I jump in here for a second when it's like, what's wrong? What's wrong with Ice Spice twerking and pointing her ass out? Here's my issue with it, right? And do not misconstrue what I'm saying. I've said here myriad of times, I don't give a fuck what white people think. I just don't. I didn't grow up like that. I didn't hear the word white man, white woman, them white people in my house growing up ever. And if I'm may the ancestors strike me dead right now. My father didn't utter those words. My mother didn't utter those words. Okay. We were being raised and eating and cooking and loving and celebrating. And we were all Puerto Rican. And I listened to salsa. I listened to a lot of Motown and New Edition, but that's, an EPMD. But I was a Bronx kid, right? Growing up in that era. But we did not hear the man, the white man, the white one. We just did not hear it. It was foreign to me. I started seeing white people when I went to school. I started seeing white people when I entered corporate America. The first time I heard anything about white people was one of my best friends. Her mother found out that her daughter was dating a white guy. She was like, why are you dating white men? Their blood runs cold. They're not for us. That was my first introduction to like, oh shit, is that how white people are? And I found out more about them as I got older and I was militant for a little while. I went through phases, right? My point is, back to, I never really gave a fuck what white people think. But here's what I do give a fuck about. There's always an excuse when our women act like hoes and sluts and bitches and prostitutes. Oh, what? She having fun. She young. Yet Taylor Swift will walk on the red carpet, regal, get all kinds of respect and accolades. But our bitches got to be bent over. Yeah, bitches. All the fucking time. And I think that we should take care and listen that we have a lot of young girls and women in the industry that are stellar talents who can play instruments. I follow this girl that plays the harp. Haran, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Beautiful black one plays the harp, okay? Our talent in our communities is beyond measure, right? Yet, Glorilla drops one song. One. Okay? She looks like a gecko. She's in a parking lot with 10 other geckos, one of which is pregnant. Another one is holding a baby. And the anthem is fuck nigga free. And she's talking about black men. That girl with that one record is catapulted in months, not even a year. Not even a year, not 3 albums later,
I've never
not
seen
2
that.
albums later. After Fuck Nigga Free, where she's hopping around in the ghetto with her friends and pregnant and everybody, you know what I mean? Missing teeth, blunts hanging out their mouth. That girl is catapulted to a Grammy stage within a matter of months. Ice Spice. One song.
Much.
You thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch. Basically saying that black men, y'all ain't worth shit but eating my pussy. Not even a year passes. This bitch is at the Met Gala. What does she do at the Met Gala? Bend over. So you know the brand is her pussy because her signature move on stage is to bend over and rub her pussy. That is literally Ice Spice's signature move. Okay, so my question is just, why is it whenever we're put on stage and catapulted to stardom, it can't be a black or Latin version of Taylor Swift or a girl that plays the harp or a piano? The only ones that are catapulted to fame are the bitches that act like hoes and sluts, the ones that were prostitutes, the ones that pretend to be prostitutes, and the ones that are pretending to be strippers. Because Ice Spice wasn't a stripper, Meg Thee Stallion wasn't a stripper. Okay, Glorilla wasn't a stripper, and they all on stage in their panties. You thought I was feeling you? That nigga a mutt, right? So that's my issue. Not that these girls can't have fun. We were all young. We all had fun. We was all crazy. There was no cameras. We was going out of town. We was drinking.
But guess what we had?
What?
Balance.
That's the difference.
We had balance.
But I'm talking about as individuals, young people having fun.
Oh yeah, that part. Yeah,
before the industry. Forget the industry.
Yeah.
I understand that when you're young, you do a lot of crazy shit. We all did. We all did. My issue is that every time we get front page on stage, it is always the worst of us. It is not the Lauryn Hill. It is not the Rhapsody. It is not the Snow the Product. It is Fuck nigga B. You thought I was feeling you, that nigga munch. And they're bent over and twerking and stripping. And how are men not sick of this? How are men not sick of this? Because women are sick of it. But how are men not sick of every time they look up, there's a Venus Hottentot twerking on a Grammy stage. And then I watch, and I'll wrap with this. The last Grammy show I saw, I just sat and I observed. And I said, let me observe. And I'm going to observe. And I watched every other ethnicity of artists come up, and everybody had clothes on, everybody played their music, and when it was time for the black and brown women to come up, shit, bitch, you know, and I'm talking about every single one. And I said, look at this. This is really interesting.
Very,
very, very interesting. That little girl, Glorilla, not even a year has she been an artist. And now they're gearing up for the other one that came out, the one out of New York. Now they're setting her up for the same thing.
You know what's funny about
that's my issue. That's my issue.
You know what's funny about Scarlett, though? This is the funny thing about Scarlett.
I don't even know who that is.
That's the one out of New York. That's the one out of New York.
Scarlett.
Scarlett.
Yeah,
Scarlett. But okay, I thought you said Scarlett. I was like, who the fuck is Scarlett? There's another one.
I was on Twitter, and I love that song. You know, I love that song. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you know, I was on Twitter, and a girl actually asked, black woman actually asked, like, she couldn't fathom, like, what's her demographic? Who she's trying to speak to? And she couldn't fathom, like, well, how is she going to make this work? And a plethora of brothers and black people. Now, granted, she's rough around the edges and so on and so forth. But a plethora of brothers and other black people said that, yo, just because she's not out here popping her pussy and throwing her shit and talking about sucking dick and all that doesn't mean that she's not going to be able to find an audience. Like, why? Like, are you? One brother actually was like, yo, are you conditioned to believe that every female artist that comes out has to behave like a stripper in order to find an audience? And that kind of mentality and thinking is one of the reasons why Chloe, you know, I guess she convinced herself that was the only way she was, you know what I mean, she was going to be able to make any kind of headway in this
Chloe
industry.
Bailey.
Yeah, Chloe Bailey, exactly. She convinced herself that was the only way she was going to be able to make any headway. It's basically to do some cosplay shit, which is the complete antithesis of who she was, clearly. You know?
But where do you think
sexy sells also?
Okay, but here's the thing. That's how it starts, Haran. It starts. Man, I like how I'm feeling her. Fuck it. Check back in a couple months. She's gonna be in a pink or purple wig. Her ass will be out, and her titties will be pushed up to her neck, and she will be acting like a ghetto hoe.
Right.
I'm not saying that
ghetto hoe.
Yeah, I don't remember.
She's getting the cosign of Cardi B. Now, listen, there's a difference between sex sells. Because let me tell you, one of the biggest holes the industry has had is Marilyn fucking Monroe. So yeah, sex sells. But why are you saying sex sells regarding these ghetto girls?
Because they're following the algorithm.
They're not selling sex. That's not what they're selling. Marilyn Monroe was selling sex, honey. Happy birthday. She was selling sex, okay? What these girls are selling is degeneracy, not sex. They are not selling sex. They are selling degeneracy. So we have to stop saying that these girls are selling sex. They are not selling. Marilyn Monroe is selling sex. Angelina Jolie sells sex. Scarlett Johansson sells sex. These girls are being pushed to sell degeneracy. Fuck nigga free, abortion free, kill that baby, niggas a munch. They are selling degeneracy. They are twerking, working poles up in their panties, and they're not even strippers. How does that make sense? Make it make sense.
When was the last time we seen a pair of pants on any of these girls? Literally. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Like,
how do we know they're not speaking their truth? Like Munch might be
because they are not because
Munch might be her truth.
It's not her truth. Let's not be silly.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Let's not be silly.
I had a conversation with a chick a couple weeks ago. I had a conversation with a chick a couple weeks ago that her friend was mad at her boyfriend, but like she was really mad at him because not only did he cheat, but he cheated and all he did was eat the girl's pussy. You know, and she was mad that he just ate her pussy, didn't even fuck. She felt like, you know?
So you're saying that
That could
so
be-
you're saying that Ice Spice singing about that nigga munches her telling her truth in the vein of Marvin Gaye when he said what's going on. They're just talking about their
in 2023, yeah.
it's she's up there with Public Enemy and
Sir, I don't see the correlation
I'm not either, but
between what's going on and Munch. It has to really be explained to me. I don't see the correlation.
Are you sure, Haran? Because these artists are just telling their truth.
I don't see the
I see it's completely realistic that she had a couple of dudes give her head and they wanted more and she was like, nah, get out of here.
So you see,
that,
okay,
that could be the inspiration for her song. In my opinion.
When we look at mainstream media, right? We look at mainstream media. Black.
So wait, real quick, Liddy, before you go, because that statement was so absurd. Let me address it. You think that Taylor Swift has never had bad sex? You think that Taylor Swift has never had bad head? You think
she sings about it in a different way.
Right. She chose to sing about it like a decent fucking human being, not a gutter rat. But Lily, continue.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm making. Like when we look at Black women specifically, let's just stick with Black women right now in mainstream media. If I wasn't Black and don't have a different Black experience, I would think that was the Black experience 2023. Like I would really think that there would be no Saint. Hello. Yeah. Thank you.
I want to add to this. You know, when Jen was speaking about watching the Grammys and watching the differences between the white people and other ethnicities and the brown people, it made me really think. I started to think about what she was saying. And yeah, and I understand what Haran is going, like about Haran saying how this is, you know, he has a problem with being the face because I'm watching these things and it's normal. You know what I mean? It's like a normal thing. Like, I don't even think of it as the Black people are being raunchy or whatever. It's just like, okay, that's kind of what we've always, you know, that's kind of what you always see. Another thing I'm going to say, another thing I'm going to say is that it goes to say now, I know a lot of these artists get a lot of white people buying their music, but like if it's a white person that's acting like that, there is that revolt of like, it's not going to sell. Taylor Swift's going to sell. Someone who holds themselves to a certain standard. If we see a white woman do that, it's almost like the white trash thing. Oh, that's white trash.
But we're the only one that defends our degeneracy. We defend our degeneracy like
vehemently with passion.
And every other race protects their fucking dignity. And that's the other half of that shit.
And I never thought about that until you said it, Haran. Like when Jen talks about the many entrepreneurs that are Black, that's not what we see on TV, right? And that's not what.
No.
And so. Yeah, I mean, it really hit me when Jen said that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's something like I don't.
No, Saint. Do you know who Iggy Azalea is?
I've heard the name. I don't really.
Yeah.
You don't really know what? Well, she is fully embraced in hip hop culture. She was fully embraced. White girl, only because her music tanked. But had she had hits, she'd still be like, that's a white girl. Like Eminem is in most people's top 5.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's interesting that in our communities and in our culture, and Harumi, you're absolutely wrong. You have to be intellectually honest. That is absolutely wrong. It is a Black thing. You're absolutely wrong. Okay. All races in America do what Black men and Black women do. They are not put on a pedestal when they do. Do you understand the lesson we're giving here? Yes, I can go to a trailer park right now and collect 10 meth heads. Nobody is going to put that meth head on a Grammy in a thong to twerk and represent white people. How are you not understanding this? Sir, ma'am, sir, how are you not understanding this?
Now, what's the correlation to black people? What would be the?
What do you mean? What's the correlation?
You said you could go to a trailer park, take a meth head, and put him in a thong.
I said you can't.
Right, right. You said you can't.
And the correlation is
that's
it's fully
black people.
right. The correlation
I don't
is
see nobody that look like a meth head.
Let me answer the question. The correlation is that is fully acceptable in our communities. That is the correlation. White people are not having it. But in our communities, we do what you did, okay? She's just having fun. So what? She's cracking her ass. She's
community.
just young. Exactly. And degeneracy in our community. Listen to me. And degeneracy, okay, is the brand of the community.
What makes
The degeneracy is the brand of the community.
But what makes it degeneracy? What
if you don't
degenerate?
Because it does, I'm going to explain to you what makes it degeneracy. I'm going to explain to you what makes it degenerate. It's the complete antithesis to what would lead to a successful black home, the illiteracy rate not being in the fucking toilet, anything that is anti-intellectual. You know what I mean? What everything has been accepted right now as black culture is a complete antithesis to where we should be in terms of greatness and success and being seen as actual functioning adults and contributors to society. That is why it's considered degeneracy. It's bottom feeder shit. Having a fifth grade, being 30 years old with a sixth grade reading level is not anything to be proud of. And 84%, you know what I mean, a literacy rate in terms of our children is nothing to be proud of.
Have you seen these schools?
Being a culture that allows anti-intellectualism to proliferate is nothing to be proud of. There's nothing in conjunction and in correlation to dignity and self-respect in our culture that is put in the forefront. But here's one thing though. Here's one thing. If you disrespect Jews, if you disrespect the Asians, if you disrespect whites, they are very clear on what they will not tolerate, you know what I mean, in terms of their borders. And we understand that and we comply. Because the Jews will let you know what will go down and won't go down.
I love you back. I love you back, Tova. I love you back, Tova. I want to bring this. I love that he said Miley Cyrus. I love that he said Miley Cyrus, and here's why. And I know you guys know where I'm going.
Yep.
I love that he said Miley Cyrus, because when Miley Cyrus acted her most degenerate, okay, when she acted her most degenerate, when she was twerking, when she was on stage with her ass out, okay, she targeted black people. The people on stage dancing with her were black women with big asses twerking. She wore Jordan jerseys, okay? She had rappers. She was collabing with rappers. Look at Miley Cyrus today. Now that she's back promoting and pushing to white people, see if you could find Miley Cyrus in a Jordan jersey. See if you could find Miley Cyrus twerking. See if there are 4 or 5 black women on stage right now twerking with Miley Cyrus on her last tour or her last music video. When she was marketing to black people, Miley Cyrus was acting the most fucking degenerate trailer park white trash you ever did see. And then she dismissed all the people of color and went right back to her white shit.
And she denounced.
So I'm glad you brought up Miley Cyrus, because when she acted her most ghetto, she was hanging with the blacks. Now that she's back with the white people, and she know white people not having that, go look at Miley Cyrus's latest music video. Her latest. I challenge you. Her latest music video. And you answer me, is she in a Jordan jersey? Is she bent over? Are there 4 black women dancing next to her looking like mammies with their ass out? Go look and see. Since you want to bring up Miley Cyrus, go take a peek at what Miley Cyrus is doing on today.
3 years ago, couple of years ago, she actually did a Metallica cover. It was actually very exceptional.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she was actually very exceptional cover of that Metallica song.
Yeah.
She straight up denounced her degeneracy.
Right, but here's the thing that is so sad that people black and white and Latin accept that is our image. That what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it's twerking? We're happy people. No Saint just said. I never thought nothing of it because that's how I always see black people acting. I thought that's how the fuck it was. And then those same people will cry bloody murder. And why do white people keep putting us in movies as hookers and drug dealers? Where did they get that idea?
Yeah, and I just want I just want to explain what I said. It's not just to smooth it out. It's not that I thought black people were like that. I'm saying it never hit me like it hit you because I was so used to seeing that. And I never thought of it. You know, I wasn't thinking like, oh, how is this affecting the black community? Because I'm not in the black community, right? So it just
why would you?
Really.
But but no saying.
Like that.
But that's the same thing I said. You're just saying it in a nice way,
okay,
right?
Okay.
I mean, you basically just like it's normal when black people are on TV. They're doing this and working.
I realized that that's not all there is to the black community, but at the same time, I don't know if everybody realizes that, and that
was the point I was making.
We're being pushed, like you said, it's being pushed.
That was the point I was making.
And now going back to a point Lily made earlier is that there's no balance. There's no balance. Everybody up there is in their draw. If they are black or brown, okay, because I think Ice Spice is some sort of Latin or some shit. Cardi B is Latin. Meg Thee Stallion is black. Nicki Minaj is black. It is black and brown women. Glorilla is black. It is
City
black
girls.
and city girls. Ugh, don't get me started on them. There's no balance. There's no like city girls and then TLC, right?
I mean,
it's just all hot garbage. And it's not because, oh shit, I like a good trap music. I still like my gangster rap. I love me some Pop Smoke. Karan don't like Pop Smoke. I like me some Pop Smoke. It's not an age thing. It's just like when it's like, yo, there's no everybody.
I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it. To support the point of balance. You know, look, coming up.
Again,
you know,
Rodville, hold on. Again, Rodville, you are cementing our point. You keep making our point. Catch me outside, girl. Act like a ghetto black girl. There's another one. Whoa, Vicky. When a white girl acts like a ghetto black girl, you all embrace her. White people do not care about a Whoa, Vicky and a Catch Me Outside. You all embrace her because they act like ghetto trash, and not meth head ghetto trash, not white ghetto trash. They specifically act like black and brown ghetto trash. They're very specific about their marketing. So you keep proving our point. You're bringing up white girls that appeal to the black and brown ghetto communities. You're cementing the point.
And what will be said is,
it.
oh, she's acting black. It's not she's acting.
I
was about to ask that. What's acting black? Because
I'm gone.
What's acting black is how we're portrayed in the media to other people.
Kari, are you trolling? Are you trolling? Or are you really ignorant to it?
No, because I know plenty of white people that act like Whoa, Vicky. They're not acting black. That's just how they grew up. That's
but they're ostracized.
But okay. Thank you, No Saint.
Why are they ostracized?
Poor neighborhoods that are predominantly what?
I don't know what they're predominant to, but there's more poor neighborhoods that are predominantly white than predominantly black.
But they grew up. But where did they grow up? You said they grew up in predominantly poor neighborhood. Which one?
Grew up in Nebraska. I don't know.
No.
Look, man, if you come on, Kari. You're being
Kari's trolling. Kari's trolling.
I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. Hold for a second, brother. Ain't nobody. Let's be real. Ain't nobody who grew up in the slums of Nebraska gonna be coming out. You know what I mean? Sounding like you and me. That's not gonna happen. They're going to sound like their version of white degeneracy and their version of body fitting. But however, wait a minute. However, a white dude that grew up with you. What I'm saying, you know what I mean? However, for the white people that actually grew up with motherfuckers like us, they're gonna sound like who? They're gonna sound like Tommy from Power. You know what I mean? Let's not be intellectually dishonest here. That's what I'm saying.
There is so much intellectual dishonesty going on, not only on the panel but in the chat. Because let me. I'm gonna test y'all. Since all of a sudden nobody knows what the ghetto is, right? Everybody forgot.
I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
Me too. And listen, no, I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna test it because all of a sudden, all the black people like, what's acting black? What's going on?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna give y'all a tester, right? Harumi's like, what's acting black? Okay, here I am. I'm Puerto Rican, Boricua, okay? Fluent in, I speak Spanish. Hablo español. Soy puertorriqueña, right? I pop up, right? This is me. I'm gonna black. What you talking about? I know you ain't talking to me, boo. I know you ain't talking to me. I know you know better. Don't be doing all of this. I know you know better, shit. Whatever. Bitch,
you know what I'ma say?
I know you ain't wearing my bonnet. Bitch, I know you ain't wearing my bonnet. I know the fucking you ain't. I know the fucking you ain't. Bitch. I know you ain't wearing my bonnet. Check this out. What would happen if that was my personality online? There'd be a slew. The comments would be like, why is this Puerto Rican bitch acting black?
Ironically, today
there would be countless comments of people saying I'm blackfishing, because that is a word online. Blackfishing is a word online. And black women have called women who are not black, who are acting black, okay? They call them blackfishing. You're blackfishing. So obviously there's a culture, there's a look, and there's a language. But on tonight on the block, I don't know what y'all drinking or smoking. All of a sudden, nobody knows anything. What's acting black? I've never heard that before.
Here's the thing. If we're gonna sit here and again have this intellectual, dishonest conversation about
my God,
what is acting black, then let's sit here and actually erase the concept of code switching. Because if you do not understand what acting black is and what, you know what I mean, culture that is considered prevalent in the black community, if you don't understand that, then you don't understand code switching. You understand that shit. You know what that's
to a job.
And what is acting white? Because remember, we've all, I think all of us here at one point or another have worked in corporate America. When I answered the phone a certain way, good morning, CDI, how may I help you? And it was one of my relatives on the phone, Dan Jen, you sound white. Bitch, I'm speaking English. Right, it's just regular old English. Right. I didn't change my voice, right? Yes. Good morning, CDI, how may I help you? Yes. Oh my God, why are you talking white? So now all of a sudden, nobody acts white, nobody acts black, nobody acts Latin. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? What's acting black?
Jen, I got that from so many black people when I moved down south. I got that every single day from black people that I talk, you know. So it's like, it wasn't white people telling me that. It was black people telling me that, which said a lot about them and their thought process about themselves.
Chat, you are bunching my panties tonight. I'm telling you right now, y'all bunching my panties tonight because y'all are
professional.
What the fuck? Right,
right. Wait.
He just walked in it.
Here we go. Now we about to cook. Right now.
One second.
We about to cook. Wait 1 second. Now we about to cook. What did you just say?
I said that's acting professional.
Okay, now.
They keep making out.
Okay, my man. I knew you was gonna get here eventually. Now, when we say act professionally, what are we pertaining to? What are we? What does this correlate with?
For me, it just means to.
No, not for you. Not for you. We're not customized. Okay, go ahead.
It means that I'm going to use words that I know everybody understands. I'm not going to be talking with slang.
Okay.
Shit like that. You know, I'm going to be using proper words.
Why not, my man? Why not?
Because not everybody is from the same culture and understands the same thing. That's why.
What culture is this?
What culture? Black culture.
Okay.
And the rest of the world.
We finally made it.
Okay.
Now, wait, 1 second. Now, with that being said, the world is pretty much following hip hop culture with all of the stuff that y'all are talking about that people are doing, and that's why all of these things are pretty much prevalent. It's all coming from hip hop culture, which goes back to the fucking 80s, which goes back to the Bronx. Everybody's starting to act like the Bronx, but not everybody understands the dialect of the Bronx.
Okay. Here's the thing. That I'll give you grace on the end portion of your statement, but we can both concede that we can both contend rather that culture has not made its way in a professional setting, right?
Oh, it has. I've heard white people.
Oh, so you heard the CEO. Well, wait 1 second. You heard the CEO kicking open the door and be like, "Yo, what's up, my niggas? How y'all feeling today? How you feeling this morning?" Yo,
no,
so
I haven't heard that,
before?
but I have. Let me finish. I haven't heard that, but I've heard them say, "Yo, that's fucking dope," in a professional setting.
Okay. So you heard that. There's a difference between that and we're saying this during. Wait 1 second. There's a difference between that.
10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen anybody in a professional setting say, "Yo, that's dope."
But see, you see what I'm saying is a progression into
it's evolving
into popular society. So where do we go next? If we're defending this degeneracy of today, where do we stop? Where is the
culture
goalpost
is evolving? It's always going to evolve, and there's
that's
not going to be no stopping.
That's devolving.
Can I also can I add something? Welcome, George, and look at the name that George is using. What is George saying right now? La última colonizer. You have to say el último.
Oh, okay.
That's masculine. El último, the last.
Okay.
We have to do our research first, sir. We have to do our research first before we go out. Before we go out, let's do our research.
Right, because you said it. You said it like in the feminine.
Yeah, exactly. I see it now. Yeah.
You gotta say el último. So I do want to say this. I do want to say this. Harumi said, "Jen, do you know that Black Americans have their own dialect of English? It's called Ebonics."
What do you think? We're like 12?
Yeah, right. Listen, I want to say something to what Kari said. I want to say something to what Kari said about. So there are
Really?
No say. Go ahead.
There are, listen, language changes all the time, and there are things that get grafted into English that are acceptable. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you said like cool from the 60s. Cool is still being used to this day. And that was a term that was back in the 60s, right? But I don't think that's really what we're talking about when you're answering the phone professionally. I don't think that was the point. In other words, there are certain words that will translate over and that will get picked up in the general culture.
Oh,
but I still don't think a CEO is necessarily saying, that's dope. That might be like the employees or whatever. But all I'm saying is that I think it's a little different from what we're talking about when you're saying, well, if that person's acting or sounding white, you sound white. I think there's a difference, especially when we're talking about the kind of degeneracy that Jen's talking about, the way that people speak on that level. And I mean, it goes for white people too. There are white people that are, have horrible grammar as well, and wouldn't be accepted in an office.
This all comes down to what I remember. One of my mother's favorite movies. She used to make me fucking watch this shit with her. My Fair Lady. When the woman was being basically shaved down to speak correctly. The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain. And the concept being that here you have this rough around the edges white woman, the woman that would be considered a degenerate in her culture, who was basically shaved down to speak professionally, shaved down to behave like a person who has a particular degree of etiquette. Now, here's the thing in the Black community. A lot of times we associate that with whiteness. We associate dignity with whiteness. We associate professionalism with whiteness. We associate intellectualism with whiteness. We associate all of these things with whiteness. So there's an element of this conversation where we have to also consider that maybe, this truth that a lot of the, you know what I mean, a lot of our people are saying that these people are exuding. Maybe what they're really trying to do is basically run away from what they perceive to be seen as whiteness, their perception of whiteness.
I'll say this: my grandma, born and raised Puerto Rico, then New York, you know, in the sticks. Okay, didn't know nothing about no white people, no way, nowhere, and raised us to sit up, dress like this, look like this, speak like this, stand like this, demand like this. And it would never, there was no way. My grandmother wasn't around the Watts, okay? There was no way that it was to be white adjacent or to be, it was about to have some fucking pride, okay, and some fucking dignity and demand respect. So why people associate speaking proper English, sitting up straight, not twerking every time there's a camera on your ass. I don't know why they associate that till it's like, oh, you're just trying to be white or acting white. I like what Iso said. He said acting with the rainbow side. I'm assuming he's saying acting gay. That's another thing. People are real quick to say, oh, that's gay or you acting gay. How is it that you know what acting gay is, but everybody forgot what acting black is or acting white is? Everybody forgot. Everybody forgot, but we all know what acting gay is. This is a very interesting conversation on tonight.
I'm going to say something. I just want to say one thing. I know this is going to sound controversial, but Jen and I have Caribbean. We have Caribbean blood. We are from a Caribbean background, and the concept of degeneracy, we were just not taught that. We were taught class, and the idea of a lot of what's being deemed acceptable and deemed their truth. A lot of it is in relation to what I see as Black American culture. I said it.
Yeah, it is, and that's very true. And that's not just people from the Caribbean.
Are you saying FBA? Are you saying FBA are the bestest in the leaders of degeneracy? Is that what you're saying, Haran?
They ain't trying to clean that shit up. I'll say that.
I associate degeneracy with scammers, with thieves, with people that steal, people that try to make their living in a way that's they're not working, they're not doing it in a rightful manner. People that's my idea of degeneracy. I don't think somebody dancing a certain way is degeneracy, in my opinion. That's how I feel.
Okay.
I feel y'all putting a lot on degeneracy that really shouldn't be there.
And I think you're putting too little. Mm-hmm. I think you're putting too little.
And again, you have your right to believe that, sir.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not here to change.
And can I say this before we turn it over to the colonizers, because they've been waiting patiently? I will say this: let's not pretend. Let us not on this day. We are gathered here today, ladies and gentlemen. Let us not pretend that when white girls act like degenerates, they can't quickly switch and go back home to as long as they don't bring home a darkie or a black man. Taylor Swift went back to white, and I mean white. You have to pronounce the W and H. She went back to white.
Pink went back to white.
Pink went back to white. All right, she was all R&B a minute ago and dancing hip hop. She's back
Kardashians
to white. The Kardashians went back to white. White women have the luxury of acting like ghetto rats and twerking on stage and then they have the luxury of going back and be like, I'm white again, now I'm singing country, right? They have the luxury, they have the privilege of doing that. That's why Superhead is looked at like you holding it for life, and then someone like Marilyn Monroe is still on t-shirts to today, but they're both quote unquote hoes that fuck people in the industry.
Okay,
Marilyn Monroe had her drunk hoe ass on a fucking stage in front of the world singing to the president whose dick she was sucking while the president sat next to his motherfucking wife. And that bitch is still on t-shirts today. So why isn't Superhead on a t-shirt? She did the same thing. She fucked around in the industry. You see the luxury white people have to act like degenerates?
I will also contend that if you pay attention, white female porn stars are allowed to reinvent themselves after they leave the industry.
Yes.
I've seen that. I can name a few.
Mia Khalifa.
You know what I mean? She's not a white woman.
She's not a white woman. She's not a white woman.
She's not a white woman. She's not a white woman. Lisa Ann owns her own sports show though.
Right.
Lisa Ann and Lisa Ann, well, She sucked many a black dick.
Wait. Mia
Ironically.
Khalifa. What?
She's the Middle Eastern woman with
Okay,
with the large breasts. You know what I mean? And
Jenna Jameson. Jenna Jameson.
And the funny thing about Jenna Jameson that you mentioned, Jen, is that Jenna Jameson was adamant about never doing a scene with a black man.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you dissect that one.
What does she do now?
She sits home and she I guess she enjoys her millions and her money. She recently had a health scare.
It says here, literally, when you Google, what is Jenna Jameson doing now? Jenna Jameson is worth $15 million in a relationship with Jesse Lawless and raising her daughter, Battelle. That is what she's doing now.
What's Superhead doing?
Women do not
What's
have
Superhead doing?
luxury.
What did she have?
Superhead is crying on Instagram. Superhead is crying on Instagram.
Okay, wait, hold up. Superhead wasn't a porn star though. She did one porn.
Okay, so we got Janet Jackman, we got Cherokee Diaz, we got Cherokee Diaz, we got Janet Jackman. Cherokee, I think she's still
Pinky, Heather Hunter,
You can take your pick.
Vanessa Del Rio.
Hey.
What they're all doing their own thing. That's what I'm telling you.
That's why you like me.
No sense. Yeah, that would kind of make sense, but you know what I mean.
Pinky's still in porn behind the scenes now.
What, Pinky?
Yeah, she's still in porn though, but
I'm sure she is. Like, what else she gonna do?
She's behind.
She ain't gonna run. She ain't gonna run for office.
But Janet Jameson just married somebody, just got into a relationship with somebody. That's it. She didn't really like have anything.
She's worth $15 million. What else should she be doing? She's worth $50 million. What do you want to do? Get a secretary? You want her to be a secretary?
And she bowed out the game after.
There's very few porn stars that get rich.
Not anymore. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that per se. What the point here, what we're making is that a white woman can behave, can be the very debased version of herself and reinvent herself. A very prime example of that is Madonna. Madonna was a whole fucking slaw through the 80s. Then she went back into her hole. Then she came back and she had an English accent. She was practicing Kabbalah. And she got pregnant. So when she did that, she reinvented her whole fucking self, and then she went on to have another 10-year, 15-year fucking career. So, you know what I mean? Like Whitney Houston, that scandal hit and she was done. She was a crackhead after that.
Forever.
What are you talking? Janet Jackson pulled her titty out, and she was the biggest hoe in America. No one had ever seen a hoe like Janet.
According to y'all, though, Madonna's back to acting black, though.
No, she's not.
She got lips. She got her ass done.
No, I wouldn't associate that with blackness per se. Actually, I would associate what black women are doing. I would associate that with a very caricature version of whiteness, because a lot of white women were doing that fucking plastic surgery shit. You know what I mean?
George, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, talking about degeneracy. You know, it's obviously I'm talking. Madonna came along right when I was right in the middle of it. You know, she started this whole. And I have this theory. It starts like in the white community degeneracy, and somehow, some way, it's like black people pick it up and take it and advance it. You know, take it to another level, or however you want to put it. Because I'm telling you, like that.
He got a point. He got a point. You understood that?
About flipping off people.
I'll say why.
Let him finish. Let him finish so we can hear.
White people, like bikers, gangs and stuff, Hell's Angels, people like that, flipping off. You see pictures of them all the time, flipping off people. That started in the white community, and it's like I didn't see black people doing it all that much. And then it's like all of a sudden, it's like it's here. I'm going to tell you guys, I really do believe there is a concerted effort to corrupt black culture and basically feed y'all, you know, the rat poison, you know, I mean, I truly believe it. You know.
No, George. They're just having fun. They're just having fun, George. It's innocent. They're just having fun. That is what black and brown girls do. They crack their asses at the Met Gala. They're just having fun. It's our signature thing.
Yeah, and then, you know, Jen, I didn't realize about Miley Cyrus, you know, kind of like the whole bit around that, the twerking and all that. I didn't put that together, you know, until
I'm going to show y'all something. Because I follow this. I'm not just talking shit here. I make these posts on Facebook often. I'm that girl. I'm going to show you something I put together really quickly.
You're not lying.
Lily, you know I be on them. You know I be on them. I'm not just talking shit. You know I be on them.
Laughing my ass off at your post, and then I go straight to your comment section just to get a good key.
Where is this bitch? Shit. You go ahead, continue talking. I'm gonna find a picture.
Listen, I want to say something. Mind if I say something, George?
Yeah, go ahead. No, saying.
Yeah, first of all, I'm laughing at some of SO Hopeful's comments.
ESO?
I suspect that he may be Hebrew Israelite. I'm not positive, but he's on the watch list. For sure.
The watch list.
Yeah, he's on the watch list. But what I want to say is people, and including George, were referencing my hat being to the back as if that's kind of like I'm taking that from black people. And what I'm actually doing is it has where I work on the front, and anything I say is not associated with where I work. So I don't want to.
Smart.
My hair's a mess if I take my hat off. So I just wear it.
Smart man.
Yeah.
I thought you ran out of threads as you were screwing it on, you know.
I just love the passive aggressive digs these guys just throw at each other. Like this is how like white people communicate to each other. Like black people, we're very overt with our hatred for each other. Like fuck you.
I don't hate him.
We're very.
He's like, wait a minute, don't put that on me.
Not hate, but you know what I mean. Our disdain, or you know what I mean, our slapping.
Eye to eye.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, white people will mess with each other like that, and it's like, just as you just nailed it, Haram. But one thing I was going to say was that, Jen, you asked me one time, I think it was right when I first came on the panel, and you asked me my thoughts about this and that and the other, and you said to the panel, you said, "See, this is what the white community sees. This is what they see." And I was thinking about that the other day, and I said, you know, have you seen those traffic accidents on the expressway where you see? I saw one the other day. The car came across the median, flipped over, wound up on the side of the road, and everybody's standing around looking at it. And you know what happens? People slow down and start looking around. It's almost like that car accident is like what goes on in the black community. And it's like the white people, the Asians, and the Latinos, and whoever, we're all driving by going like, what the fuck just happened here? You know, and so, and it's like, man, it's like, Jen, the question I've got is, what's the way out for the black community? What's the way out?
Well, we're about to go viral because you asking the Latina what's the way out for the black community.
Well, okay. Well,
the way out of what? The way out of what?
Out of this degeneracy. Because I'm going to tell you, Kari, it is really, it's like this is rat poison being fed to y'all's community, man. I mean, y'all had, 50, 60 years ago, had far more class. I mean,
class to whose standard? Class to whose standard?
Black
you don't know what class is, Kari?
Like very to black standards.
Thank you.
I'm going to explain this right now.
The boy. Now I know y'all don't probably like Booker T. Washington. I'm talking about people like 100 years ago. You know, the way they talk. Even read the stuff from Jack Johnson.
Here's the problem. Now here we go.
Damn.
It's all coming full circle now. Now, yeah, you can see it now, right? Because
I mean, am I wrong?
Because guess what? Now here's the problem. Those are some niggas that got accepted by the establishment. Now we're at the core of the problem now. Now we're finally where we need to be right now. I was waiting. I was just sitting back because I was hoping the conversation would lead here.
Right.
Now, wait 1 second. Now, wait 1 second.
Douglas wrote. My God.
No. Wait one second. Wait one second.
All right.
Wait 1 second. Now we have we can speak on the generation such as Harry Belafonte and so on and so forth. R.I.P. You know, we can speak on that generation who told us decades ago when hip hop was going in a very bad direction. Stop calling these women bitches and hoes, because if you keep doing this shit, they're gonna start behaving that way. And we didn't listen. We didn't listen to, you know what I mean, you see Dolores Tucker. We didn't listen to a number of these people because we were young. We were arrogant. We thought we knew the world. We were also very angry for a justifiable reason, a number of justifiable reasons. But we often can, you know what I mean, associated the concept of coonery and coonism with any black person that was deemed acceptable by the white establishment. Anyone who was deemed, and most of the time that black person was deemed acceptable by the white establishment was what? He had dignity, he dressed well, he spoke well, so on and so forth. And now we get into the whole concept of, here we are, folks, respectability politics. So a lot of times the thumb in the face of respectability politics is the behavior that you see on TV, is the behavior that you see that they're claiming should be allowed to proliferate, because in a way that's us retaking so many of us. That's a way of reclaiming our blackness, or our perception of what blackness should be.
Now, quick, are we only talking about how the media perceives us?
No,
the world. I mean,
when
I speak to
in
people from different cultures, different nationalities, and different countries, it's all the same. I mean, the media is the biggest influence on this.
Okay, so we're just talking about how it's perceived, not the actual reality.
Only we know the reality.
Because I say that because I go outside, I interact with people of all ages, and the percentage of people that I see be acting quote unquote degenerate are very small. It's a very small margin of people I see.
And you from the Bronx?
I'm from the Bronx. Yes,
I was just in the Bronx.
Yes.
Yesterday.
What part of the Bronx? I'm curious.
I grew up in Co-op. I lived in Park.
That's why. That's why.
That's why what?
I know it. That's why. I grew up on Prospect Avenue, Trinity Avenue, the South Bronx.
Yeah.
Co-op, Castle Hill, and Parkchester. Really? In the Bronx?
Yes.
Okay, everybody that lived up there had good jobs. I know where. No, maybe now.
You know,
maybe now.
I got shot when I was 16 years old on a city bus in the Bronx.
Maybe now.
In the 90s.
Okay, skate key. You just said skate key. Okay, skate key is nowhere near Co-op City, Pelham Parkway, or Castle Hill.
The 20-minute bus ride.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Bus ride.
Okay, exactly. Yeah. But when you got shot, I guarantee you weren't near Co-op City. I guarantee it.
You know the people I know that got killed on my block in Co-op
City?
Okay, can I say something?
Maybe now.
You know, this is, but listen, what's being said here, and let me this, and I may be wrong, with all due respect to Carr, I may be wrong, but this is kind of what we're talking about. Like, he's talking about how bad his neighborhood is, almost like it's a thing of pride. Like, no, I was from the hood, where a white person would be like, I didn't live on that shit. You wouldn't even, like when people, you live in River Ridge, yeah, but I lived in the River Ridge. I didn't live in that part of River Ridge. But it's not like you're bragging about it. It's like you're embarrassed, like, shit,
Right.
But I tell people all the time,
we wear our degeneracy as a badge.
Look, listen, I'm from Far Rockaway, Queens, okay? I tell Jen all the time, and I tell everybody, you don't move to Far Rockaway, you end up there. You know what I mean? And, Far Rockaway, there was a time when that shit was literally a landfill. Literally. People put their garbage over there, you know what I mean, in New York. There was a time And then motherfuckers say, hey, maybe we can build some houses out here. You know, make some money out of this shit. And then eventually, that's when they started letting people co-opt an area that literally garbage was thrown. You know what I mean? Now, there's a sense of pride in terms of I'm still from New York. This is my home. This is where I came from. But I don't throw that shit around. You know what I mean? Every fucking 5 minutes. Like I was really from the fucking mud. Okay, I was surrounded by violence. As young as I can fucking remember. So I know what I'm talking about. I know what the fuck I said.
The reason why we do that, coming from our neighborhoods, for the record, for anybody watching, it's not so much a sense of pride. I relate it to people that go to the military or people that are in law. When you go through hell somewhere and you come around certain people that have it and they try to claim it, that's like my beef with Jennifer Lopez. They're like, the bitch is from Castle Hill. Okay, Clarence's parents had a very good marriage. She has a picket fence to this day around the house. I don't know what Castle Hill you talking about, sir. What are you talking about?
Wild in the 90s.
What are you talking about? Where Jennifer Lopez is from was not wild, sir. She walked in her little Catholic.
I don't remember.
This is
I don't
crazy.
remember being wild.
This is insane.
Castle Hill was
This is insane. This is insane. What are you talking about?
I was just walking through the other day.
What are you talking about?
It's nice. Back in the days.
You a lie. You are a lie, sir. You are a lie.
I promise you I'm not.
I bet you really from Riverdale. You're probably not even from Co-op City.
Shit.
There's no fucking way. Listen to me.
Riverdale is the Long Island. Is the Long Island of the Bronx for everything.
Let me tell you something. I'm like, is he? I don't listen.
Castle Hill, Monroe houses.
I'm fucking going to a funeral. I'm going to a funeral every month when Jennifer Lopez was walking in her little Catholic girl school uniform up the block out of her two garage home with the picket fence around it. Still has a picket fence to this day. Her parents' home still have a fucking picket fence around it to this day and a garden on the side. What Castle Hill you talking about? This is crazy to me.
Look, I've never heard. I've never heard anybody come from the mean streets of Castle Hill. I've never heard of that.
What is happening?
Y'all ain't from the Bronx. Y'all ain't from that
Bronx, though.
I'm from the Bronx.
And I done dated many abroad in the Bronx. And the first thing I asked them was like, what side of the Bronx you from?
Right.
Thank you. They used to ask me the same thing. They used to ask me the same thing. They used to be like, yo, shorty from the Bronx.
If the South came out of your mouth, it was like, okay, we're going to meet here.
Right.
Because I'm not going over there.
All the time. Haran, my friends used to be like, I'm not walking down Prospect. Can you meet me on the train?
Nah. And you know what I mean?
My first apartment was on Prospect 149. That shit was crazy.
Lily.
And this ain't got nothing to do with me being pussy. This has everything to do with the fact that I can't take on all the entire Prospect motherfucking, me by myself. I'm not that capable. I'm not John Wick. Okay. So
Prospect, I take it, Jim. Prospect was you gotta shoot your way in and cut your way out, kind of thing.
And peep the vibe. Peep the vibe. Okay, my fucking neighbor, and it doesn't come from a fucking. Hold on, because I lost you guys. It doesn't come from a place of bragging that you're from the worst of the worst. It comes from a place where I fucking survived, bitch. That's where it comes from.
But Jen,
that's where it comes from.
I know what you're saying, but you're saying that Kari's from not a really bad place.
He's not.
So what I'm saying is it's really interesting that he's fighting to say that he is.
How? What happened? No say.
No, I'm not referring to you. I'm saying. My reference was to Kari fighting to say no. My area was a piece of shit. Instead of saying, well, yeah, I grew up in a decent area.
Oh, okay, I get that point. I do. I get that point. I totally get that point. Well, that's how I look at, like, when they talk about Jennifer Lopez, like Jenny from the block. What block, bitch? Ain't no blocks in Castle Hill.
You know why it bothers me? You know why it bothers me? Because I grew up there. I have friends that have died in my block. I know people that has died on Castle Hill from stupid street dumb shit, you know, where shit you say it's not crazy, it's not wild, but if it wasn't so crazy and wild, I wouldn't have PTSD. You know what I'm saying? And that's the
did your friends that got into shit in Castle Hill, were they coming from the South Bronx and just hanging out in Castle Hill and shit caught up to them? Shit catch up to them in Co-op City. I'm asking a fucking serious question. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Like people like Pelham Parkway, Castle Hill, Riverdale, Co-op City, Parkchester. Those were the nice parts of the Bronx. That is where you moved when both your parents worked and everything. Your mom was probably a pharmacist or a teacher. Your dad, you know what I mean? Those are those neighbors, and that's fine. I'm not saying that anything is wrong with that, but it's weird to me. Something similar to what No Saint said when it's like, nah, it was bad out there. I'm going to, from the age of fucking 13, 14, I'm going to funerals every fucking month. We have a different lanyard and we wearing rest in peace, whoever on our t-shirts. This was normal. These were after school activities where we get together and be like, I was just with JoJo. He dead today. That was the fucking life. Speaking of Prospect, George, going back to your question, it was so thick. The tension was so thick that everybody would be outside. And then when you weren't from the fucking neighborhood and you walked on the block, the whole neighborhood knew you did not fucking belong there, and you better have an explanation. And if you knew somebody in the neighborhood, they better have met your ass on the train station and walked you to our block. It was that tense. The only time I felt that environment was when I went to La Perla in Puerto Rico. They have the same politics. When you walk in La Perla, the town of Perla in Puerto Rico, you better not take out your phone and act like we're a tourist. You do not take pictures in La Perla. You do not. They will not allow it. Who doesn't allow it? The fucking residents. Some neighborhoods were like that. That's how I grew up. So it's not even a bragging or like, I was from the mean streets in the Bronx. Bitch, I survived. I've been shot at. Shot a couple of times. But this is how we fucking lived. This is how we lived. We had bullet holes in our walls. This is how it was fucking wild. So when it's just like someone in the military that knows that there was a guy at the military with a desk job and he says, I've been to Vietnam, and everybody who came back looks at him like, you been where? Where you been? And all he had was a fucking desk job. In Vietnam, you will be like, you from where? So that's where it comes from. It's not a thing where it's like, oh, we're trying to be tough and have this street cred, because it's not a good living. It's not a badge of honor. It's like, yo, I survived that shit. So don't fucking tell me about somebody who grew up in Castle Hill. Anybody watching, Google Jennifer Lopez home in Castle Hill right now. If you're watching me, because the house still fucking stands. Google Jennifer Lopez's home that she grew up on. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm telling you. That's all I'm saying.
I think that might be me and Jen disconnect right there when she says Castle Hill, because when you Castle Hill is a very long street.
It is.
You know, it's a very long street.
It
you
is.
know, and then on maybe like 2 blocks of that street, there's Castle Hill Projects, which is a public housing project in New York.
Correct.
So when people speak about Castle Hill, that's what I think of Castle Hill, because that's the only place I used to hang out on in Castle Hill. They had a lot of girls out there, you know, and shit was wild out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think about when I think Castle Hill. You're probably thinking about Castle Hill that was much farther away from that, maybe way down the block type of shit. You know what I mean? And how you described your hood, you knew when somebody was there that didn't belong there. That's how my hood was, you know? And Co-op, I lived in Section 5. Co-op is made up of 5 sections. 4 of the sections are all together. Section 5 is all by itself, in the back by itself. You got to walk like a mile away from all the
and
other
I know, and here's the thing. I know. Here's the thing. I know Co-op City too, but you know how I know Co-op City? Because my baby's father, who I was with for 13 years, when he started getting paid, I'm talking about bank, okay? Guess where he moved? Co-op City. You know why he went to Co-op City and moved from where I lived? You know why? Thank you. That is why he didn't move to Co-op City because it was hard. He moved to Co-op City because now he had money for a condo. He had money to have a fucking... What are you talking about?
It's not a condo.
What's not a condo? Where my baby's father lived wasn't a condo? You're telling me where we lived?
Co-op aren't condos. They look like condos. They're not condos. Technically.
Co-ops are condos.
Co-op City was not a condo.
What Co-op City you grew? Wait a minute. Are you from the Bronx.
They're not condos.
I think he's the CIA. He's the CIA. You just blew your cover. You just blew your cover.
That's what a co-op is. That's what it means.
Lily, I'm Lily. You take over. I'm leaving. I'm gone. He literally moved into a condo in Co-op City because now he had the fucking money to live better. That is where we moved Co-op City into a condo. This guy's a plant.
You crazy.
You're a plant. Tristan, don't start with me. Tristan, start with me. Tristan.
All right, so quick question.
Wait, segue really quickly to what George was saying and what we were all saying. This is my beef with these people. This is Gwen Stefani. The top picture is how Gwen Stefani lives. The top picture is how Gwen Stefani lives, okay? The bottom picture, okay, is how... Thank you.
Oh man, she's got the big earrings like you, Jen.
Yes, the same exact one.
Thank you, George.
There's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason why she's got the same ones.
All right, that is Gwen Stefani. And again, I tell you, when white girls want to market to the black and brown, they cosplay us. They cosplay us, but that bitch in her real life is that top picture. She don't go around her white friends dressed like the girl on the bottom. She don't go into her board meetings dressed like the girl on the bottom.
Because it's a costume.
Yes.
Blackness is a costume for these
Blackness
people.
Is a
anyway,
anyway,
to the colonizers,
look at
to the colonizers on the panel, a parallel situation in terms of what the conversation and Jen and Kyrie were having is when you're hanging around and your dad and all of them and you're hanging around your old war buddies and one motherfucker says that, yeah, I did a tour and such. What's the main thing that everybody always asks? Did you see any action?
Yeah.
And usually the guy who didn't see any action is a fucking pussy. The guy who didn't see any action is a fucking pussy. He doesn't deserve to even say he was in such and such doing tours because he was essentially on vacation in another area of the fucking world. So they tell that guy, don't even fucking sit here with me. I did 3 tours in Iraq and I got my fucking leg blown off. Fuck you.
Listen. We've been up here yelling and kicking it on the block for 2 hours. I didn't see one fucking super chat come in. I'm feeling away. Somebody better go in their pocket before I go back to my Bronx ways and start sticking up the chat.
Let's segue into the topic, please, because we went all over the place away from the main topic. You know what I mean?
Damn, I forgot all about the main topic.
It was some very interesting things said.
This has been a good show.
It was a very interesting show. It transformed into something else. But let's at least let's spend 30 minutes on that. Let's
do it. Let's rock. Let's segue. This was fun though. It got the blood going.
It was.
Kari, we appreciate you so much. We love having new people up here. We do.
We do. Back, you know what I mean? It's all love.
Yeah. Please do.
Always.
Because at least Kyrie, at the end of the day, you wasn't the dude who ran up on me and told me like, oh yeah, you're from New York? Be like, yeah, I'm from New York too. I was like, yeah, what part? I'm from Maine. That's when we started conversation.
Albany. I'm from Albany.
I tell you what.
We don't know her.
Before Benny the Butcher, it would be people that would say Buffalo. And they'd be like, oh, you ain't from New York. But since Benny the Butcher, they're like, y'all acceptable now.
Yeah. I still don't. If you ain't from the boroughs.
It ain't New York City. It ain't New York City.
It ain't New York City for the boroughs.
And I'm on New York City.
Did you see some action? Did you see some action?
The Purple Heart and the medals to show it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into the video. The video.
Listen, we would go into the emergency room in Bronx Lebanon Hospital and steal the scalpels. You can't get in there now. There's security. We used to steal the scalpels. So when me or any of my girls had stitches, we take them out ourselves at home. I took stitches out my best friend's fucking face. That is how it was. And that's something that you would do in war. because you can't get to a fucking me. All right, you can't. It's like, fuck it, I'll do it. We're drinking, just drink the vodka. I'll pull the fucking. This is me at 16 years old, with a fucking hospital blade in my hand, pulling the fucking stitches out my best friend's face. That she got where? In a fucking rumble in the Bronx.
Jen, you should have kept that scalpel. That would have been a good weapon.
Hello,
George. Hello.
She didn't want to say that, bro. She didn't want to say that.
I mean, from the box cutters to this. Listen, it's a long story. Wait for my book. So let's segue into the topic. As you guys know, if you watched yesterday's show, it was Eboni K. Williams talking about she wouldn't date a bus driver to a Iyanla Vanzant. And Ebony caught a lot of heat from it. Okay. People were saying, see, this is the problem with Black women. They don't accept men that have average jobs, blah, 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 yada, yada. Well, Ebony's like, fuck y'all, I'm doubling down. And this is what Ebony had to say. So let's talk a little bit about the backlash that she got and her response to the backlash and her doubling down. Let's hear what Ebony had to say. JB, I moved to the West Coast. I got tired of getting handcuffed. I got tired of going to funerals. I was tired. I was tired of the congestion, the subway, the bricks, the cold, the winter. I moved. That's how I got out.
You got an open warrant, don't you?
Shut up, Tristan. I do not. Let me play the video. Here is Miss Eboni K. Williams doubling down.
50,000 plus comments posted on social. I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position and recognizing that I am actually speaking and pouring into the ascension of Black men when I said what I said. But see, no, some of y'all were too busy naming and shaming me personally and Black women in general as undesirable, gold diggers, and much worse. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of Black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. No, I will not create a soft place for you or anybody that I love to fall comfortably into the bigotry of low expectations. So I'm going to say one more time, nothing wrong with driving a bus. My mother Gloria drove one for years. But could it be that Black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. And in this case, it takes the form of conditioning Black Americans to happily accept being a permanent American underclass. But see, because I know the truth about Black folk in America, no, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow, well, she summed up our whole conversation, I think. I said what I said.
Right.
I agree with some.
To be clear, what she was saying, I just want to put it out there real quick.
Okay, let's hear.
Yesterday, when we saw the video, to be clear, I didn't say she was wrong for her statement. I was just saying, well, maybe you should dig deeper into your network to find whatever it is that you're looking to find. I didn't say that she should accept, whatever it is that these other people were telling her to accept. But however, with that being said, and it's going to be very controversial what I say right now, and said a few things tonight that stirs some nerves, so I might as well close out with this.
Might as well.
And I've seen this on both sides of the fence. I've seen Black men do this. I've seen Black women do this. I've seen both choose to be the better version of themselves whenever they date outside of Blackness. I see them choose to be the better version of themselves when they date whiteness. I see a lot of less argumentative black women, a lot of in shape, less argumentative black women when they date white men. I see a lot of affectionate, very understanding black men when they date white women. You know what I mean? I just don't see a lot of the problems and a lot of the issues that black people have when they discuss black love anytime they go outside of the race. And as a matter of fact, I see a lot of them propping and pedestalizing their partners whenever they go outside of the race. So maybe black excellence is understood and it's realized anytime black people don't fuck with each other. Sadly enough, I don't know. But personally, I feel everything she fucking said because I'm on here most of the time saying that black people should be, you know what I mean, accepting the should be driving towards the best versions of themselves. I'm not the one to accept mediocrity. I am dead set against the idea of humility. I've said that dozens of times. So in essence, what she's basically saying is that if you want to be coddled, if you want to rest and live in your mediocrity, fine, but don't assume that everyone else is willing to accept that, nor should they. Nor should they. They should not be obligated to accept the fact that you want to be a lesser version of yourself.
Okay, before we pass the mic, I just want to say really quickly, can we get off of her personal dating situation? Let's just get off of that for a minute because I think that's a diversion. People like to attack the messenger. What about you? Why you are so nobody wants you? Listen to the entirety of what she said. She's basically saying, in general, Black people are very comfortable with average at best or below. It's almost a sin to have standards in our communities. And you guys know the shit I got into because a motherfucker asked me, can he take me out for coffee? And I said, I don't fucking do coffee. Take that to Maria or Mary. I don't do fucking coffee dates. The motherfucker did a 5-hour stream regarding why I thought I was too good for a cup of coffee. It's almost an insult to have standards in our community. So I agree with her 100%. And there, I'll pass the mic.
All right. This is where I will disagree with her. I'll disagree with her on this whole notion of, you know, she had obviously great grades in school. Someone brings home a C, and if they did their best, you say, oh, you've done your best. Some people are trying their best, and that's okay if they get a C. Some people, not everybody, listen, is an average. What makes an average? You've got 50% above the line, 50% below the line. There is no way everybody's going to ascend to that level. It's not going to happen because as soon as if everybody were to ascend to that level, there would be another level. There's an average. So I have a problem with if someone has done their best and they're a bus driver, that's okay. You know, it was told to us in the military that you look at people like, oh, they're just cooks. No. They're not just cooks. They're making sure that when you go to fight, you're not dying of food poisoning. They have a job to do, and they're doing it well, so it doesn't affect the whole mission, right? So what I'm saying is not everybody's going to be... Listen, Einstein didn't get good grades, believe it or not. They thought he was kind of dumb because he was not interested in what they were teaching. He was a genius.
Underachiever. Yeah.
He was a genius. And he might have had dyslexia.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems I have with her statement. But I don't have a problem with and then she tied it in with white supremacy. I don't know. She'd have to show exactly what she meant by that. Like you know, how white supremacy is telling people to be average. I don't know. That was a claim that I didn't. That was a claim. That out. That was a claim that I didn't see evidence of. And let me tell you, in what she said, she might be right. Don't get me wrong. She might be right, but she kind of threw it out there. And that's appeal to emotion, I think, more than anything else. I think that was an appeal to emotion.
But George pointed that out earlier in the stream. He answered.
Well, I don't look at George as some kind of expert.
Now I have a question.
He's like, wait a minute. Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. What George said.
If I could add on what No Saint, I think at first when I heard the bit about white supremacy, I thought it was like Jen's line about how she talks about, blaming everything on the white man. But then I thought about kind of like what Lily's alluding to, where I think there's a message being pushed to them. And so it's kind of like, if you buy into that message, you are in fact, instead of the whites pushing it down on you, per se, the supremacy, you're giving voice to it. You're acquiescent to it. And so in that regard, I can see what she meant.
I just didn't see. I don't see how she tied in mediocrity of someone being a bus driver or getting C's as. I didn't see how she tied that into white people are saying be mediocre or white supremacy is saying.
Did that person apply themselves? Can we say if a person applies themselves 100%?
She said it's not good enough. She said it's not good enough.
But that's not good enough for her taste, though.
Bringing home C's.
That's not good for her. Good enough for her taste, though. Because guess what?
Let's pass the mic, please. Let's because we don't got a lot of time. Kari, you were saying something.
I was going to say, who sets the standard of mediocrity? That's a scale that kind of moves based on the person. Because if I'm making $500,000 a year to somebody that's making $10 million a year, that's mediocre.
But can we not pretend that we don't oh my God, can we stop acting like there's never but can we just, and I'll pass the mic, I promise, but can we just stop acting like human beings don't have a standard? Take everything away, technology, money, cars, planes, houses. In fucking caves, the guy that came back with 2 buffalo versus the guy that came back with a little coyote was the bigger fish. He was the bigger fish. He was not mediocre. The guy with the coyote was like, look, but it's furry. He was mediocre. The guy that came with the 2 buffaloes was more valuable. So let's not act like who decides mediocrity. We know what mediocre is. We know what mediocre is.
The guy that brought back 2 coyotes today might bring back 2 buffalo tomorrow.
Might.
Right.
But did he?
It's not the same. It's not the same with money today.
Did he? It is the same with money. It is the same with money. It's the same with money because she was talking about people doing the least, the minimum, and getting patted on the back about it. And going back to what Lily and George were saying, it's like our degeneracy, our mediocrity is celebrated. Oh, you're twerking. She's just having fun. Meanwhile, these other people are learning coding, and this girl is already applying to college, and this one, but she's saying that, why is it okay? Why is mediocrity pushed in our communities? That is what she's saying. And you can tie it into white supremacy because it's pushed, right? They just give us a little nugget and then we run with it because, like Lily said, we have vehemently defend our degeneracy and our mediocrity. We defend it. We've been giving each other participation trophies forever, running in circles of participation trophies. And everybody's, going on ahead. And we're like, no, twerking is okay in our community because it comes from Africa. That's where twerking came from. If you go to Africa, you see women twerking. And that's come on, we know what mediocrity is.
Shit, and if I was the KKK, I wouldn't have to get my hands dirty. Y'all doing the work for me. I can sit back and just watch the degeneracy on social media and watch Black people destroy themselves and tear each other down. We do the work for the KKK, really.
No, I understand when we're talking about degeneracy. I'm saying what I didn't think she did a good job tying it in because I'm still thinking about the bus driver. That's the best. If that was the best, if he tried and he just didn't make it in school, in college, but hey, he's a great bus driver that gets you safe. It performs a service to the community. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. But did you miss? Wait a minute. But did you miss when she said there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver? My mother was a bus driver. Did you miss that part? No, say you can't selectively listen.
I did hear that. But that's not what she said the day before. She wouldn't date the guy driving the bus.
She owned it.
Unless he owned it.
Right.
But she basically said it's not a. I don't know. I kind of heard what she was saying, and I guess the grades thing got me too. Like,
yeah, but then she's also, there's nothing wrong with, I'm gonna address this and I'm gonna tie it into this comment. There's nothing wrong with standards. Back when her mother was doing whatever she was doing, right? Maybe that is the best. However, her mother raised a woman that became an attorney, an affluent, successful woman. So now there's levels. What her mother sacrificed all of that to raise this amazing human being so she could come back and fucking marry a bus driver?
Right.
Our children are supposed to do better than us. I don't bust my ass for my child and my grandchildren so they could come and do what I did in the Bronx. It's nonsensical.
I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as I'm not expecting her to date below. I know how that works with men and women. That's not what I'm saying. But my whole thing was like, I guess my whole thing was the way she kind of said season D's grades. No, that's not okay. But she also said if that's she basically said if that's the best you can do, talking to the parents saying, hey, you did your best. That's all. No, that's not good enough. Well,
yeah.
It sounds like wait a minute. Let me tie that into this comment. Okay. Harumi Ada said, damn, Jen, a motherfucker can't buy you a cup of coffee or tea. So let me say this. Do you walk into NASA headquarters and say a motherfucker can't get a job? Do you walk into a hospital and throw on a white lab coat and say a motherfucker can't do open heart surgery just because he ain't go to school? So I tie it into this woman because it seems like in our communities, because this is not exclusive to the Black community, it's also in the Latin community. In our communities, it is an insult to the men of our community if we have fucking standards. Why is that? But you don't go anywhere else in life and pull this shit. You do not walk into NASA headquarters and say, I can't fucking build a motherfucker can't build a rocket because he don't got a degree. You don't do that anywhere else, but you insist that women of color take you at your average at best. And long as I have air in my lungs, I will preach to women, stop falling for that bullshit. So I am 100% in support of what she's saying. Why is mediocrity? Now, no saint, mediocrity in the white community is not the same as mediocrity in the Black community, and you know it. Having mediocre grades, okay, in the white community, you can still walk into an office and get a job before a Black man who has better grades, and you know that, no saint. So it's not the same thing. Mediocrity in our communities is not the same thing. And you notice other countries where they insist you do well with your grades, the country just does better.
They do.
I just want to say,
I got another thing though. I think we saw it a little I saw it a little different. What I heard was her speaking about her stand. It was kind of like the answer I gave yesterday. I said, I do well for myself. I want a lot, so I do it for myself, right? Now, if you're going to come into my space, you need to match that because I didn't work this hard to get here for anybody to pull me down because now I've created standards for myself, right? So these are my own standards that I expect to be reflected in my relationship, right? So I think that's what she was saying. And so basically, since that's the work that she's done to get to the place that she's at. Now, say if you are an entry-level nurse, you did some work to get to become an entry-level nurse. You may not be the head nurse, you may not be the doctor, but you did some work to get there. So now you're like, well, my standards have changed because I've done some work to get here. So I think she was speaking from her standards and saying that's why she don't want to settle.
Somebody asked, let's answer this question. Sarah C, she's usually in the chat, but not tonight. She did ask an interesting question in the comments. She said, would Ayanla have asked that of a white woman? Would she have told a white woman, well, what about the bus driver? Would she have dressed a white woman like that? Or again, as I said, are women of color expected to be born ride or die? Passing the mic.
To answer your question real quick, Jennifer, now I'm saying Jennifer. Jen, to answer your question, yes, Black women are expected to, want and expect less, just as Black men are expected to want and less of themselves in America. But anyway, let's just cut the bullshit and let's just talk brass tacks. we're very clear on standards, and we love our fucking standards. It's just that we're very intellectually dishonest whenever we're having these discussions, because everyone wants to be PC, everyone wants to be very understanding. If you need brain surgery, or one of your loved ones need brain surgery, are you gonna and you had a choice? Would you choose the best Harvard has to offer, or would you choose the guy who got C's and D's from a community fucking college?
Original colonizer?
I will say this. You got to remember that there is a doctor.
Let me finish one question. Let me finish one statement. Let me continue. Then we continue. You're on a plane. All right? You're on a plane. Now, twofold. Let's just say the guy who's actually flying this plane, is the person who's actually, who's actually controlling it. Now it's the guy who spent a cajillion hours, top notch, taking you to your destination. You don't give a fuck if that shit is 10 miles from the goddamn airport. You want to get there safely. It's either that guy or you either got that guy,
or the guy a motherfucker can't fly a plane.
Yeah, you got or it's that guy, or let's just say that guy's not even flying the plane. It's the computer program that's flying the plane. Do you want the programmer who actually has a computer science degree, who has years in of software engineering, or you want the guy who says, "Can a motherfucker build a program in this motherfucker without even learning a bit of HTML?" Do you want that guy?
Kari, you're on mute.
Well,
you're on mute, Kari.
Since and another thing too. Let's keep it real. Let's the last thing that we know and we can attest to. A lot of brothers are in jail right now because they didn't have any money outside of a fucking DA. They can only have the fucking district attorney, who was, can a motherfucker do some law in this motherfucker without having a law degree? Half the time it was that motherfucker. If motherfuckers didn't have the money to get a competent fucking lawyer, they would have done that shit.
They had money for coffee, though. They had money for coffee and tea, though.
Clear on standards. We're also very clear on standards when we're choosing our dates and our mates and so on and so forth. Because we're all very clear on what turns us on and so on and so forth and whatever, what have you. So I'll pass the mic on that.
Okay, so this is how I'll answer some of what you said. You said it very well. But the thing is, with any kind of surgeon that makes it out of Harvard, and someone's going to have the lowest grade average of those surgeons, right? But there are standards. There are standards, right? And
Absolutely.
Those guys did their best and graduated the top of the class. But I think they're all pretty good. And then you have the ones that couldn't make it as surgeons. Maybe they're your foot doctor, which is still fine.
Because you rather lose a foot than your brain, right?
Which is still an honorable thing. He did his best, and he's a podiatrist now. That's all.
But you won't let him anywhere near your fucking brain, correct?
Right, yeah. So I get what everybody's saying here. I have no problem with her having standards and making it. I just kind of took issue with the way that she said, well, if you do your best, that's not good enough to your, the kid making a C. I'm like, well, maybe that was his best, and he's not cut out for a lawyer, but he's got an important job in society. She doesn't have to date him. That wasn't what I was implying. I'm just saying I had an issue with the way she said, no, it's not good enough. Well, maybe it was for that person. Maybe that's all they could do. They're not good in school.
I think it's layered because she's talking about Black men specifically. It's just layered. Yeah. Like mediocrity in our communities can mean death, can mean prison, can mean utter disaster and failure. Mediocrity, and if we don't watch our six, if we slip in our community, that can mean life or death. So we have to be harder on our kids. I was a super strict mother because I know what's out there, and I knew the neighborhood we were in. Now, if I was, living in a good community with private schools or whatever, I probably would have gave my daughter more freedom. but I knew what was at stake, and that's the difference. So when you look at what she's saying, you have to look at it from that lens. You can't look at it like, oh, my kids go to a nice school and my son brings home a B and a C. It's not the same thing, no Saint, as us bringing them home B and C's.
Have you ever been around old money Black people, Black nobility, and see how they operate and how they think? I have a few friends that generations of Blacks to do well and went to good schools.
I've never been around that.
I have, and when I tell you, it is a whole different world. It's a whole different mindset. And the one thing, and we talk about this a lot, they separate themselves from niggas. They are not.
It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is.
Having it, period. But because they're so proud to be Black in their type of Blackness that they will not be associated with that type of Blackness, right? And they continue to generation after generation after generation get better. And grow.
I'm gonna pass the mic to George Lily, but let me say, Lily, I'm not even around old Black money. I'm around a couple Black men that made it out the hood, and they don't want anything to do with niggas. They fucking hit me up, be like, Jen, those are your people. Like, you know, we got jokes back and forth, but they don't even want to be around.
That's my whole family. That's my entire family. My whole family came from the worst part of DC. They cannot stand degeneracy. They do not want to be anywhere near it because they work so hard to get away from it. And it's just like, why would I go back there? That's crazy. That's ignorant, you know?
George,
I don't want to be around niggas, but I can be around people that are niggerish.
Niggerish.
Why does this make sense?
What I was going to say is just real quick what kind of stood out to me.
Behavior
y'all covered it yesterday.
Decision making.
She went to college at 16, UNC, okay, University of North Carolina. 16, got into college, and by the time she was 23, she had already passed the bar, and she's practicing law, okay? So there's this standard when somebody is like really that high level of an achiever, sometimes those people are very hard on other people in that because in her mind, what she did was, I don't want to say easy, but it was attainable. And so in her mind, it's like, well, if I can do it, how come you can't do it? And if you can't do what I did, then therefore you're settling for mediocrity. So she may need to adjust a little bit of her view on that. I don't know if anybody's pointed that out, but I thought about that. The other thing too was, Lily, you brought this up. Isn't it in Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland?
That's where my mother lives.
It's like the wealthiest. It's like if you want to
wealthiest
see
Black people.
It's like very wealthy there.
Yeah, the wealthiest Black people per capita, and they're all of their government people or whatever. They're all Black. Like it's nothing but Black people who are doing well. Yeah.
They're doctors, lawyers, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
Yeah, my mother's been living there for about 10 years now. Yeah, and they're very tucked off. They don't want nothing to do with all that other stuff, you know.
Well, guess what? White people are the exact same way
right.
Yep.
Right.
And I want to say this too. Let's stop saying like, well, she's not wanted, or who is she dating, or blah, blah. Well, that's why dating's hard for her. I know a lot of broke motherfuckers that dating is hard for. Okay. So let's not make it sound like, oh, it's because her standards are too high. It's hard. I know a lot of broke motherfuckers that get in relationships, get left. I know people that leave their families and they don't have a fucking pot to piss in a window to throw it out of. So just because you get in a relationship doesn't work out doesn't mean, oh, it's because she wants too much. So what the fuck do all the broke motherfuckers that break up? What is it? They don't want it too much? They want it too much or they want it too little? Sometimes people they meet and they don't fucking get along. And someone says, fuck off. That's life. But you're not going to tell me that this woman is beautiful, okay, makes good money, well-spoken, and her dating pool isn't crazy. Tristan, who was the guy she dated? How much was he worth?
Well, Mr. Glenn, I forgot how much he's worth, but what he works for is one of the biggest private equity firms in the country. So her
I
dating
mean, that's her dating pool.
pool is billionaires. So I mean, she that's her standard. I'm like, her standard is her standard. She worked for it. You can't say she didn't. I said, so, and that's her pool. Like, and I can guarantee you, just like Jen, as much as people want to say, "Oh, this is why she's single," guarantee you, it's a choice for her to be single rather than it is she can't date anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I totally with that.
See, here's the thing. I remember one time before, man. I got into a conversation with a couple of brothers. You know, what I mean, we were talking about, what I mean, dating expenses or whatever. And the topic of me spending 200, I think maybe like once or twice, I spent like $200 on a date, and these motherfuckers said, "Oh, you was out here tricking." I'm like, $200 is not tricking.
It ain't tricking if you got it. If you got it, it ain't tricking. You just.
I'm like, how is $200 tricking, especially in New York? Like
Not to
motherfucker,
mention, Haran, you didn't walk up on a girl on the street, give her $200. You
Right.
were there.
right.
You were there
Right.
enjoying
It's
yourself.
not like you gave her It's not like you gave her $200 and you're like, okay, I hope this makes her like me. That's
Yeah,
true.
right, exactly.
Okay,
We
that's
just
true.
went out, and after the
Right.
date was over, it was like, oh, this is how much it costs. Hey, cool, no problem. You know what I
It's the
mean? You know what I
lifestyle
mean?
you're already accustomed to living.
Right.
Exactly. So, but the point here too also is that they were telling me like, nah, you should have took her out to like a food truck and blah blah blah. I'm like, nigga, what?
He said
I'm
a
not,
food.
I'm
You should
not
have taken
sitting
out for
down.
coffee.
That's for date number 4.
That's for after
Like,
marriage.
Right.
hey, chocolate, what's going on? Like, seriously, like, there's just, and this is what I keep saying. It's like it seems to just be this rush to the bottom and this intent
Yes.
to spend as less amount of money and time in the beginning with a woman and expect to get this huge return. Like, you motherfuckers sound like motherfuckers at the slot machine in Vegas. I'm gonna put 5 cents in. I'm gonna put 10 cents in. I'm gonna put a quarter in, and I want $1 million to come pouring out of this motherfucker. At one time, it's gonna happen. Like, no, it's really not, homie.
I've
It's
seen it.
really not.
I've seen it. Mhm.
Now,
So true.
to speak what you was said earlier, Haran, about the C's and D's, I
Mhm.
think it is based on the profession. You know,
Okay.
I definitely want the best surgeon. I do
Okay.
want the
Yeah,
best
absolutely.
pilot, you know, and I think the best surgeon is going to be the one with the best grades. You know,
Mhm.
in my opinion, I think
Because it affects you.
right. What's that?
Because it affects you. You don't want to die.
Because of the nature of the work, I think.
Okay.
You know, but then when it
Okay.
comes to something like programming,
George gotta go.
like that,
Good night,
I don't
George.
necessarily.
Can
All
I?
right, George.
Go colonize. Be
When
strong.
it comes to like programming,
I was not up here. I was not.
Y'all are too much.
You
Y'all are
want to be
too
George.
much.
I love his no
but like when it comes to other professions, like maybe an auto mechanic or a programmer, I don't think the person with the best grades is going to necessarily be the best one.
I think that the person with I would more so trust the person with the best grades if we were programmed or if we were an auto mechanic. I would also check their work though. You know what I mean? I would also
Okay,
check
I
their
say that.
practices. I will also do that. Now,
perhaps
perhaps
I
the person
think
with the
that
best
way
results.
perhaps
in
I
the
think
working
that way
world.
from a personal standpoint, you know, because
Okay.
I'm a software
Okay.
engineer and I've worked with a lot of
Okay.
people that's had their masters in computer science and didn't know
Okay.
shit. Really, you know.
Okay.
And-
Now let's take that
wait,
though.
hold on, one
Go
second.
ahead.
And
Go ahead.
from my own personal history, I've always been the best person at the job, and when it comes to
Okay.
programming, and I don't have no
Okay.
formal education, you know.
Okay.
But I taught myself, and I taught
Okay.
myself because I was genuinely interested in it, you know. And
Okay.
I taught
So
myself
there was a drive.
yes, I had the personal drive to want to learn it. You know, when I started learning web development and shit, the bottom
Okay.
of every website had webmaster. In my
Okay.
head, the webmaster knew everything there was about building whatever this needed to be built. So
there was a standard.
So I taught myself everything that there was, and then when I got my first job, I realized, oh, one person works on the database, one person does the graphic design,
Okay.
one person does the HTML, one person
Okay.
does this stuff, the SEO. I taught myself all of that because that's what I thought the webmaster did. The webmaster sound like they know every goddamn thing. When I got my job, the webmaster knew who to contact to get stuff fixed.
Now, there was a standard applied to what you were doing. There was a drive to be
right. I had the personal drive to do it.
But you had the personal drive.
And that's why I say it depends on the profession. You know,
now,
it also depends on the person. It also depends.
Now, here's this though. What I'm saying is that the person who per se in fields such as, you know, being a surgeon and so on and so forth, 9 times out of 10, if that person is, you know what I mean, if that person did obtain, you know what I mean, high marks, did obtain high grades, 9 times out of 10, yes, that person is exceptional at what they do, because they have to go through a series of time of practice and residency and so on and so forth before they're actually out there doing these things and practicing in the real world. Now, to your point,
surgeon with the best grades, because the only way they can actually practice those things is by going to school and learning those things and having that hands-on experience learning those things. A lot of fields you can learn hands-on without going to school.
Now, here's the thing. Are you aware with the concept of MVC?
NBC.
MVC.
Model view controller?
Yes.
Yes.
And you usually learn that where?
I learned that by myself, figuring out it was on a job description. I said, okay, let me see what that's about. I learned it.
Now, do you know that is a basic computer science concept when actually programming something? Do you know that certain people actually?
It is now.
No, it always. No, wait 1 second.
No, wait 1 second. It was not always.
Wait. Listen. Slow down. What time is that? Because I'm a software engineer.
That's the early 2000s.
I come from a different time, but before that. So we're all about spaghetti code. I know all about that. I've been a program engineer for 20 years. I know what you're talking about.
Right. So have I.
Okay. Right. I know. Now, wait 1 second. Now, computer science, the concept of computer science, they don't teach them programming a lot of times. They teach them the concept of computer science and how to create software and becoming a software engineer and so on and so forth. But that is actually different from programming, because you can be a good programmer, you can be a good coder, but that doesn't make you a software engineer, because there's a different set of skills involved, you know, in terms of being a software engineer. And if you have those set of skills, and you have that particular degree of understanding, then you don't create spaghetti code. Spaghetti code comes from an understanding and a lack of understanding of how to create a computer program and how
Jeremy, like, oh my God, I was looking
like, what the fuck? The block just turned into, I don't know what. Yo, you never know what you're gonna get here. You never know what you're gonna get here.
The point here that I'm making is here. I understand what you're absolutely saying, God. I understand exactly what you're saying. But my biggest issue with, maybe it's different now, but my biggest issue with a lot of computer science programs is that they delve so deep into theory that they didn't spend enough time with practical application. And that's why you got a lot of guys who come out of computer science programs, who come out of computer science with strong computer science degrees, who understand the concept of creating, but they do not how to understand how to bring this to practical application, as opposed to people who are self-taught, who had to spend time in the trenches, going through trial and error, so on and so forth, and building these software and software programs. But the downside of that is that going through that trial and error, so on and so forth, a lot of these guys were creating spaghetti code, because everybody had their own style of creating shit. Everybody had their own thing of doing shit. So, a lot of guys were creating these database spaghetti codes. And the main thing that fixed that was, I'm sure you're familiar with this. The main thing that fixed that was React.js, because that was based on MVC. The concept.
Yes.
Okay. Can I jump in here, because people are like, they don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. So let me jump in here. Let me jump. We just lost probably 80% of the people. So let me just wrap it up with, let's not talk about the outliers. Of course, there are people who are better at something than somebody who has a degree, but I think we can all agree we want the motherfucker who's most educated.
There you go.
I don't care if it's changing a muffler or a heart transplant. Let's just agree with that.
And
I
I'm
think
pretty
you want
sure
the person
that
that's most motivated to want to learn it.
I know, but I'm pretty sure there's nobody without a brain surgeon degree that's going to be better than somebody with a brain surgery.
I think people that are brain surgeons are the ones that were really motivated.
You could be. No, I don't want the motivated guy that got F's and D's. I don't want him near me. I don't want him. He could take his motivated ass and be a mechanic. He can go be a mechanic.
One is going to be the one with the best grades.
All right, then that's the guy. That's the guy I want. I don't want. You could take your motivation down to the mechanic shop.
And your potential.
And change mufflers. Change mufflers.
There's a lot of fields where it's the motivation over the education.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So with that said, guys, this has been fucking amazing. Really good show. Yesterday was dope. Today was dope. Kari, thank you so much for coming up. We love a new face up here, George. And No Saint, thank you so much for the white on white crime. We appreciate that shit. We like to see the white folks go at each other.
I never thought I would get into like a tech argument.
Right.
That's the block.
On the block.
That's the block.
Listen,
and a tech argument with another black man.
How about that?
I love it. That's what you talking about. I love that y'all weren't arguing LeBron James and Jordan. Y'all were fucking arguing. We salute you. Okay.
That was one conversation where I was really like amazed and hungry all at the same time. They were talking about spaghetti and everything.
I know.
The
spaghetti code was the worst thing to web development. That was the worst thing to web development.
That's another topic.
We are not doing it tonight. We are not doing it tonight.
No. I love to talk shop with you any other time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Hit me up. Yeah.
Oh my God, are we not the most amazing, talented people on the planet? This is our poet from Block Talent Battle, by the way. This is our poet. So we are well-rounded. I will say that. We are well-rounded. Meanwhile, No Saint is just white.
Yeah.
No, that man saves people. That man saves people. Because guess what? You don't want me.
We call him the bravest in New York, and New York's bravest. I ain't running in the burning building. I'm not doing it. I'll be like, No Saint.
Come on, Jay. The CIA agent cannot let his subjects just run amok. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So we are out of here. Tristan, take us out. Woo! This was a time. This was a time.
I really enjoyed
Eboni Williams. Because we're talking about Eboni Williams, and we just saw Black Excellence just go at it for.
We sure did.
Put me on the big screen, and and you have to read this. I have another Black Excellence for you, and it's serious, not a joke.
Oh. Tristan, serious?
Oh, that looks very serious.
Okay, Jen. Wait, Jen, read this.
Dennis Malik Barnes from New Orleans has been accepted to 130 colleges and universities and $9 million in scholarships, which broke the previous record at 16. Go ahead, baby boy. Go ahead, baby boy.
I love it. I love seeing it.
Go ahead, baby boy.
I love you all. Class dismissed.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Good night.
Where's my thing at?
Lily Haram, we got to debrief. Call on Instagram, please. If you're still here, hit that like and subscribe. And Mama, don't forget, you can support the show. Cash App on the block. Again, with Jen, scrolling at the bottom. I've been talking so long, I'm tongue-tied. You can support the show. Cash App on the block with Jen. Scrolling at the bottom. We will see you here tomorrow. Do not forget Block Talent Battle every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Talent comes up, competes for $100 cash prize. All right. On the Block with Jen, all social media platforms. If you enjoyed this, tell your friends about it. Make sure you come back. Leave me a comment in the comment section for my algorithm. And we will see you mañana. Woo, this was a night. All right, guys. Good night.